Sean Capri, and welcome to We the GamerCast that publishes on podcast services and youtube.com/Capri every single Monday. Patrons get it first. Thank you for subscribing, hitting the like button if you're listening to this. If you get past that, holy crap, telling your mom, telling your dad, telling your friends, telling your cousins, telling that second cousin that you're like, are we still friends? Are we still talking? Second cousin? Do we even know what a second cousin is? If you know what a second cousin is, leave a comment below. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm warming up my voice. I was just tweeting on the Twitter is generally where you tweet. I'm like, the number of times that I don't even get through a hey, I gotta stop it. Like I think I did 3 of those. That one felt okay. We're gonna roll with this one. This is the take. This is the one where, if that's okay with you guys, I felt it. But sometimes you gotta, like, I feel like cobwebs literally come out of my throat. Like there's a bunch of stuff that's just like, blah, you know, gotta do the warm-ups, gotta do the do re mi's. Fa, sol, la, ti, do? Is that how that goes? Oh my goodness gracious. I'm glad you guys are here. But if you're new, I'm way off track. If you're new, here's the deal. Every week I have sweet hangs with a stranger, or in this case, a friend from the internet. We talk about life and video games. And if you want to be on the show, just tweet at me at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. Shouting hey, I got to tell you guys from personal experience, shouting hey for seemingly no good reason. Good for the mood. Good for the mood. I don't know what is going on with me lately. I got to be completely open and honest, because that's what I pride myself on, you guys. I've been kind of in a crappy mood lately, and here's how I know. And see if this impacts any of you guys. Everyone is upsetting me right now. I'm very irritable, and I've had this before. I've had this happen before where I've kind of like doubled down and like, yeah, there's something wrong with everybody else. And no, that's usually not the case. At least it isn't for me. If everybody is upsetting me, it's like, there's probably something going on with me. Just been in a grouchy mood, just a little crunchy, a little sour, a little grumpy, a little, I don't know what, man. So, this helps. This definitely helps. Yelling hey and opening things up a little bit here. And we're going to have a great chat with my good friend Andross from Nintendo Pals. And you guys have already seen it. Supersized episode. So buckle up, buckaroo. We're in for a good one. And a quick heads up, I think we get to about an hour in, which is usually like at about where I close things off. You know, try to keep the conversational part to about an hour. You know, it's usually where I like to keep things. And at about that time, I ask a question of Andross. I go, "What else is on your mind?" As if that's a closing question. You know, like I was. So I did it to myself. But I like that kind of question. You guys will see where we go with that. Goodness gracious. So much to talk to you guys about. The Discord is popping off. The Backtrackers, the video game book club, just finished up. They played Spiritfarer was the last game that they played. The next one, in case you guys are looking for something to do and cool people to do it with, join our book club. It's free. It's for the community. Marcus O'Neill and Delroy are leading the thing. The Backtrackers, there's a special channel in the Discord server, or server in the channel. I don't even know, dude. Whatever the words are in the Discord. The next game is Undertale, very popular game. Whether you're playing it now or you've played it in the past, join us Saturday, March 26th at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Goodness gracious, now we're into daylight time. We're not even in standard, because the daylight saving, good God. Write the petitions, bring the change.org back. This daylight savings has got to go. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. But in any case, there is a better way to play video games, and that's with friends and people in the community, the Backtrackers. It's free. Join the Discord. The show notes have all the links for you. Said that backwards, but I fixed it. I wanted to tell you guys too, I was on a couple podcasts last week. I was on A Drew Story with Drew Agnew from the House of Mario, but also from A Drew Story. And it's kind of like this show, but I got to be the guest. So you hear me, if this intro is just kind of like tickling your fancy, like, man, I would really like to hear Sean talk for like another like hour and a half or so, go listen to that show. It was really fun. I really enjoyed talking to Drew, and it's tough sometimes for us to line up the time zones, but we did it. And we made it work. Goodness gracious. I'm racing because I want you guys to listen to the show, but I've got a couple things I need to tell you about. My good friend, Lee Navarro, he's one of our Capremium producers, good friend, the fearless leader, of course, of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. He's got a Rocket League tournament I want to tell you guys about. We've got links in the show notes for that as well. You should be joining everything that the Phoenix Overdrive crew is doing, especially the Extra Life team. Fundraising has started already. I have joined in. My plan is to be in Rome, New York in November, first week of November. And if you guys have any questions, if you're interested at all, please let me know. Now, before we jump into things, none of this would ever happen without the wonderful, goodness gracious, like 70 some odd people over at patreon.com/YumiCapri. I want to thank our newest patrons, Chris and Danae Stallnecker. Thank you guys both for joining on. I appreciate you guys very, very much as we march towards 80. Goodness. Holy crap, thank you guys so much. And I want to give a special thank you to our Capremium producers, Dallas Ford, Lee Navarro, who I just shouted out, and Johnathan Brown, Purple Monkey. The man behind the music on the Xbox Drive and the Nintendo Drive. Please download his latest album, In My Element, on Spotify and Apple Music. You'll thank me. You'll thank me later. Platinum producers, Robbie Bobby Miller and Trucker Sloth. And our gold members, Argo, Brendan Myers, Dallas Robbins, Dano, Emily O'Kelly, Foolish Fuji, Joel Brooks, Jose Jimenez, Mac Time, Marcus O'Neill, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots, RJ Kern, Skinny Matt, Tony Baker, and Xavier Reyes. If you guys want to support the show, you can totally do so. Patreon.com/YumiCapri and choose the tier that is right for you. We are 1 week since Gaming for Guru had wrapped up, and I want to thank everybody we had 77 people donate towards the Autism Society of America, our fundraiser for Bobby. It is completed. It is done. We had, goodness gracious, I think 15 or so people streaming in memory of Bobby. Tons of dollars raised. We gave away prizes earlier this week. And it's special, man. It's special. And this show, Gaming for Guru happens. It happened last year before Bobby's passing, as we were raising money for his medical bills, as he was in the hospital for a very, very long time. Now we are celebrating his life. And this show will continue that legacy. This show at the very end, last week, you think you guys got a little taste of this. I'm asking you now, because I'll talk about it again at the end of the show, but I'm asking you now, if you have clips that you like, or if you want to go back onto Bobby's YouTube channel or whatever, if you want to send clips, and they honestly can be however long you want. I might chop them down from there, but if you guys have moments that you want celebrated on the show, I would love to be able to introduce, like, this week's clip is brought to you by, for example, this week's clip actually was sent in by none other than Josh Stapleton, one of the pillars in our community. And I'm excited for you guys to hear that at the very end. So stick around after the conversation. We've got a really cool clip from a classic episode of If We Ran Nintendo. If you guys have anything, DM me on Twitter and Discord. Leave a comment on wherever. Like, there's lots of places. YouTube, leave a comment in the Discord. You can DM me in the We the GamerCast channel in the Discord. You can leave something there too, and I will. I'm going to start a little bit of an inventory so that we can continue to remember Bobby for the people who never knew him, so that they could come to know him and understand the impact that he had, the dedication, the energy that Bobby had. And a lot of us owe a ton to Bobby. We'll never forget him. And I think we might even talk about that with Andross in a little bit. So that's a nice little segue. Wait, one more thing. I was on the PlayStation Drive this week. I want to explain myself a little bit. I have been playing Horizon. I went on the PlayStation Drive, kind of talked a little smack about some stuff that I wasn't really having a great time with Horizon. I've since started to get it a little bit, but only a little bit more. I've got lots more to say about Horizon, but I want to get into my 2-hour conversation with Andross here. I might jump back on to the PlayStation Drive. I'm planning on doing a full review with Matt very, very soon. So check that out. My journey on Horizon continues, but right now, my journey begins with Andross from Nintendo Pals. This guy's got grit. He's got ambition. You can play that whole, like, the song that The Rock did. You guys know? It's about power. It's about drive. It's about power. I don't know. It's something like that. I see it on YouTube every once in a while. Andross from Nintendo Pals, very good friend of mine. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. There's tons to talk about, so here he is, Andross from Nintendo Pals.
It took me quite a while to set this up.
Did it really?
Yeah, I had to call
like a plug and play.
Dan from RetroLogic. Oh no, I had to do all
were you expecting it to be? Did you buy it and you're like, yeah, I'll just plug in this to that end and turn it on?
Yeah, I sort of was. Yeah. And I guess you hit this point in technical anything where it's you spend a lot of money and you expect plug and play, but actually it's worse than if you just totally bought the $10 version for setup. Mm-hmm. The quality is incredible. I mean, it's the same with anything. If you're gonna just get a PC, to get a nice PC, that's gonna take some setup time.
That's why I go the second to best option. I always feel the middle one. I'm good. Yeah. I don't want the bare bones thing, and that's kind of where we all start. You know, just like look around the room. You're like, what's on the floor over there? Oh, is that a microphone? Okay, like we'll plug that in and we'll start a podcast with that. Like, what came with my phone? Or maybe I just use my phone. How about that?
Yeah, that's what we did, man. Micah used his iPhone, and I used a blue snowball, which I just had already. Yeah.
What do you mean you just had a blue snowball?
Yeah.
Why?
I got it at a thrift store, man.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is a real thing. I was kind of just joking around, but that really is a thing where you kind of like look around. Everybody's got a box of cables, and it's sort of like that adjacent. We've just got like the video, audio cables, and I guess like computer accessories. Yeah. Like there's my router from 1997. You know, it wasn't even a thing. I don't think so. Anyway.
I'm trying to think if I had a router in the 90s.
I think we're just straight into a phone line back then. I think that was it. Just fax machine noises and everything.
Yeah, man.
Oh, so I gotta hit the record button, at least on this thing. Good thing I got backups. There you go.
I last year got to like really upgrade my whole setup, which was really awesome. I got the DLSR camera as a gift for Christmas. Like awesome. And then I found a nice deal on the Shure SM7B, which is like what
that's like
every
mic.
Yeah, that's what all the like big YouTube-y and streamy and I shouldn't add a Y to all those podcasty, streamy, YouTube-y. People all use those. People use those. Yeah. And it looks and sounds really, really good.
It's actually it's crazy. Yeah, let me rephrase. What sort of like you must have hit a point in your journey, and you're still like relatively speaking, like you're still kind of like early on, but you're just like, you know what? I'm not gonna do the middle stage thing. I'm not gonna like iterate. Yeah. I'm just gonna go from what we've got from here to like the best damn camera I can get my hands on, and like objectively the best mic around. Like there's just no better mic for podcasting.
Yeah, I definitely. I just looked at what the cost was for middle ground and was like, well, what's just a little bit more to get to the top tier, and it's gonna last for a long time. Was sort of my thought process, and I wanted to like really go for it as a podcaster, as a streamer, as a YouTube creator, and I don't know. It bothered me to not have top tier quality on that, and that was just it's sort of my OCD, I guess. Like
I don't know if it's OCD or maybe I don't know. I don't want to make a comment on what you thought it was, but I think it's just something about like wanting it to be good. I think that's something that's just it's just a standard, you know. Yeah. And I guess it just kind of like caught me, and the reason I'm asking the question is just like I don't know that I've seen anybody do it quite like that, to be honest with you. Like to just like I don't know, how long were you guys doing Nintendo Pals before you went like, okay, now this is it? Like that's really, it wasn't necessarily like asking about like the quality necessarily, but like you believed in yourself. You believed in Nintendo Pals. Even the hat you've got is like phenomenal. Like that's a great branded hat. It's so good.
Dude, I just got this today. It looks so nice. I pulled it out of the box and like man. It's it's really cool.
I love the details like on the corners of the letters on Pals. It's I don't know, is this in your other like I've never noticed it before. You've got like the little like the bolts
that's
like
the logo.
On the corners of the
they're supposed to be like little boxes. like little Mario boxes, yeah.
Yeah, like the question box. Yeah, the box. Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. I guess I've never really like stared at you from basically like have you ever thought about this? Like when we talk on webcams, like think about like if you're this is so stupid. The webcam is arm's length away from me, right? And your webcam is probably arm's length away from you, or give or take, right? Like you can basically put So now imagine like we're sitting across the table from each other, and we're just like putting up our hands to each other, just like palms touching.
It's like
we're gonna be that close.
Yeah.
But it does. But you don't have like the awkward like because I can look anywhere on the screen. You don't know where I'm looking. You know what I mean? Like I can look like deep into your eyes, but it's not. Doesn't come across that way on the webcam. Yeah. I'm looking at a screen. So now I can look at with incredible intention to the detail of your hat, and that's fine. It's just a weird thing I'm kind of realizing.
That's true. I haven't really thought about that before. I tend to get like distracted by background stuff in people's in people's streams. You're the master of that. I mean, you got so much cool stuff back there.
It's so cliche though, man. Like I'm definitely, I appreciate it. I'm going to deflect obviously because that's what I do. I'm seeing all these other like these great streamers and YouTubers and these kids these days, and it's like it's not about like a clean shelf or cool shelf or even like clean lighting anymore. It's like you got to have the colored lights and like directional stuff, and like even like because I have this, I basically have bleached my room with light, like so that the green screen can just work. But that's like a very singular reason to do it. I would actually really like to do a little bit more moodiness on this.
Okay.
On this space.
Yeah, I see it a lot, like a lot of lights and stuff. I was really happy to get this new camera with a fancy lens that blurs the background.
Yeah,
so
man.
I don't have to clean the kitchen behind me. Like
I see that empty water bottle, I think.
Yeah, don't pay no attention to the
See, now you draw attention to your background. I'll be like, oh, what is that? I'll be like crossing my eyes to try and
people thought it was fake when I first started doing it. They're like, that's a fake like you're green screening a background behind you.
The fuzzy, yeah.
And then my cat would jump up onto the this is where the cat food sits on top of this thing back here. This like cabinet. Yeah, so then they'd be like, "Wait, it's moving."
Mm-hmm.
It's not a picture.
Not fake. It's not fake at all. That was my like. I toyed with it for a second with a nice camera, but then I'm like, if I'm just gonna green screen it, then I don't need the bokeh, like the blur kind of effect after behind you. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of went away from that. And even like, what kind of lens do you have on there? Because it's actually pretty close to you. Like, what kind of do you have like a millimeter kind of thing? Like, you have
like I know. Cameras are. I'm even worse than microphones.
Now I get to look
talking
right
about cameras
as he stands up.
50 millimeters. Yeah, I'm like, so,
I should have guessed.
I'm so branded right now. I just put like new Nintendo Pal stuff up on our merch store, and I ordered it because I was like, I want to try these things out, and so I got them all today and was like, I'm decked out in Nintendo Pal
feeling,
stuff. I don't actually dress like this all the time.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, well, it's a little weird to be a walking
like a band
billboard.
wearing
I'm okay. I'm okay with one piece of merch. I'm not going to be wearing. I've got the hat, the shoes, the pants, the flip flops. No, I'm not doing that.
The limited edition Manscaped tools that they send you.
Nintendo Pals tools.
Nintendo Pals.
Shave those pals. No, we don't have it. We don't have a Manscaped deal.
Neither do I. Is that where do you want to go with Nintendo Pals? Like I said, like you're going for it in a way that I think has some people noticing. That if I can say that, like when somebody, and Bobby would do this too, like he would go for it, and I feel like it's just kind of like we're all running around the tracks here, and then all of a sudden you see somebody go like, oh snap, like the heck did he eat this morning? Like he's really going after it. I'm proud of you, man. Like you guys are streaming a ton. You were podcasting for 6 or 7 hours or something like that last night. Like you're just like you're dedicated is what I'm trying to say.
I appreciate that. I would love for this to like someday be what I do for a living, but really it's because I just have a blast doing it, and that's what it's about. And I'm having a really good time. I wish I had more time to do more with it.
Yeah,
and that's what it comes down to for me. So I wouldn't say like I'm going for it in any like specific thing like.
That's what I would say.
But I'm having so much fun that I keep going and doing things in a way that is and it's just my personality to be like very all in on things.
Yes.
I don't know. I think it's a very like maybe this might be insensitive, but it's like a very man thing to do. Like to just get hyper focused on something like that. I had a conversation with a friend back in the day. He was like super into cello, okay, and like he was listening to cello music and was just loving it. So like he was listening to all these like master performers and was so excited and convinced his wife to let him buy one or to get him one as a gift.
Cello? A cello, like the giant
yeah,
the stand-up version of a bass guitar.
and she was like, you're not gonna have time or like actually use this, and he's like, no, I'm so into it. And he didn't use it.
Oh no, that's not where I thought the story was going.
No, that's where it's going. It's that like, and we talked about it, like it's that sense of like getting hyper focused on things. But here's the difference with Nintendo Pals. I'm doing it. It's like I'm actually doing it. And I'm really, I really have fun doing streaming. We're making YouTube videos. I've been working really hard on that, and I just love podcasting. That's why I love coming on to stuff like We the GamerCast, being guests on other shows. I mean, that's the best. You don't have to plan anything. You just show up.
Just show up.
That's the place to be. That's
well,
the place to be.
I'll do you one better when you can just show up and have it as your own show, but have a Ryan Turford edit it and post it to the internet. That is the best.
Yeah. I don't have a Ryan Turford.
Everybody needs a Ryan Turford.
That guy's a hero. Yeah.
This is the only show that well, I shouldn't say the only show. There's a couple other stuff on the Patreon stuff that we have worked out. But Nintendo Drive, like he does, Xbox Drive, he does. But this one I still do. I'm pretty like to your point too. Like I'm kind of particular on this one. I've had a couple people reach out over the years to like want to like help me out on this one, and it's just even the way that it's kind of stitched together. I'm not sure that it's really all that more time saving to ship over a whole bunch of just audio files. It's just like I might as well just all put it together here. Like I'll be kind of like merging it all together in our chat after I say it's over. So I'll hit stop and I'll have it all synced up by the time we're done.
I hear that a lot in conversations with other podcasters. I think it's just like there's this sense of I kind of want to do it myself, you know. And
it depends on the style of show. I think like for the Xbox Drive and Nintendo Drive, it's super easy just to ship it over to Ryan. Like it in that case, it does save me a huge amount of time. You know, to have Ryan just like do it, and even like the posting. The posting is the thing that gets everybody. Posting and sharing and stuff like that.
Man, anybody listening to this that has like you don't realize that recording the show is the easy part. This is the fun part.
And the fun.
Yeah. But like getting it posted everywhere, making sure it's got like good titles and details on those, and social media sharing, making sure it's getting in front of your audience. It's like that takes so much time. Just thumbnails, okay? I can't tell you how frustrated like that's what I'm working on upgrading right now. You know, everything I look at, I'm like, okay, I want to get better. I want to get a better microphone setup. I want to get a better camera setup. I want to get better at being myself on camera. You know, like there's all these pieces. Right now I'm working on the thumbnail game. Like, how can I get a higher quality so it doesn't look like a PowerPoint, you know? It's like a PowerPoint slide. So that like it just takes a lot of time. And
do you think your thumbnails look like PowerPoint slides?
Yes.
Yes. I'm not really sure. I want to dive into this. What does that even mean?
Like prior to
like using clip art?
It's just the photo editing software I use. I was just using Paint, man.
Yeah, you were. Yes.
Yeah. But I've been working pretty hard on that as well. What
does that mean? Like, are you like looking up like because there's so many resources around there. So I'm curious like what your approach is on this.
So I always felt like it wasn't to the quality I wanted it to be, but didn't have the resources and tools to get it to that point. And
I feel like 1,000 people, you just resonated with so many people right now.
Yeah.
We all feel that way.
That's how I felt on a lot of this stuff, right? Like, there's a point where you say, I just got to do it anyway, even though it's not to the 100% where whatever my bar is that I'm setting for myself. Just got to do it anyway. And that's how it was for YouTube, and that's how it was for the podcast. For the podcast, I was like not even posting thumbnails for the podcast for like dozens and dozens of episodes.
We don't. I don't think any of our shows we do the thumbnail. Although this is where Ryan will like leave a comment, or he'll just like, I don't know, he doesn't edit the show, but I love when every now and then he'll just jump into like the Nintendo Drive, like, and actually like he plays like the narrator.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I'm a big fan of the Ryan Turford jump-ins on Nintendo Drive.
For sure. Yeah.
Because why
thumbnails on podcasts? So who cares? Who cares about the thumbnails on podcasts?
Because I post these to YouTube as well.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Like, okay.
But
I'm thinking like the audio thing that you post. Like, who cares about a thumbnail there? Because it's an option.
Podcast thumbnails are an option, and I think that they do help. I don't know, but I don't know what I'm doing in any of this stuff. I think that they do help, but it was too much effort.
Oh yeah.
Versus time versus like what came out. But now that I'm posting them to YouTube, and I'm working hard on growing our YouTube channel, I don't want it to be an ugly like mid video shot mixed with all these other videos that are that high quality, because if you look at it all as a total, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It bothers me. It bothers me, and I look at it and go like, if I stumbled into this channel, I'd be like, oh, that's an ugly looking video. I won't watch that one.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. So what I'm doing, what I have done is I actually just asked a content creator. I am a big fan of Cosmic. We had him on our podcast recently.
Oh, yes.
Speedrunner for Mario Bros. And he also is with the NRG speedrunning team. I'm active in his Twitch community, and just reached out to him on Discord and was like, hey, you do really good thumbnails. What are your tips? And he seriously like took time. This is not don't go out and ask people that you don't know for help like this sort of thing. But if you have a relationship with someone that you
well said,
an online relationship, it's easier to like ask that sort of thing.
Big time.
And he like really showed me the ropes on what like the workings of his mind on how he makes his thumbnails, and even gave some pointers. He's like, for this video you have up here, I would do this, and like it was really cool of him to do that. And he recommended looking at other YouTubers that we are not trying to emulate, but like look at other YouTubers
kind
that
of in the
are
same
in similar space, and make your thumbnails look at the patterns and make your thumbnails in that sort of pattern. And that's what I've been doing. I actually just went and got a better editing software. I'm using Affinity Designer.
Ooh, I don't know
which
what that
is. It's like an alternative to Photoshop. I don't like that Adobe charges subscription for their software.
No kidding. I love that you just said like there's any alternative to like not even just like the photo editing stuff, like, or whatever we call making thumbnails, but like there's like what about video editing? Because it's like Premiere and Final Cut, and that's kind of like all I know about. Is there I don't even know if this word is correct. It seems like a totally offensive thing, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is there not a software called like GIMP or Gump or something like that?
Yeah, GIMP. GIMP is a photo editing software. I don't think it has video. Maybe they do.
But it's like a Photoshop, like open source, like free.
Open source video.
What it is. Okay.
Yep.
That was somewhere in my brain.
That's an option for sure as well. I decided to go with Affinity just because it's a little bit more user friendly. GIMP is Photoshop is so obtuse to anybody that hasn't used it before.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I use Shotcut, which is open source video editing software.
Shotcut.
So it's like GIMP, but it's the video version of that. Shotcut.
Okay.
It is so bare bones. So if you're looking for like good video editing software, probably not the one to go with.
Yeah.
But for what I do, which is mainly cutting and like some minor layering and then adding sound in post, it works perfect. So that's what I've been using.
It's refreshing and kind of inspiring as well it's also very inspiring to hear you talk about like and hold yourself up to a standard and maintain that like level of criticism of your own work. I think that's I don't know, that there's something special about that. Because you can get jaded, you can get tired, and you can kind of go like, what's the point, very, very quickly. But like you're not there. Like you still got a bit of an edge. You still got some like traction there to go. No, like we've come a long way.
Hope.
You do, and that's good. I hope you're taking that in the spirit in which I'm intending it. Like it's definitely you definitely see. It's actually you and Mitch Power the other day. I was at his stream, Mitch Power 1116 on Twitch, and it's just like this dude. He was podcasting for a while. He was on Mixer for a while, and then he's on Twitch. And just like over the last little bit, he's just been like plugging away. And every once in a while, he'll like fire up a stream. He's like, I'm just working on stuff. Just tweaking some stuff. I got this little thing. I'm like, now all of a sudden, you go to this guy's stream and like he still is just awful at Apex. Like he's just, you'd think he'd. I'm just kidding. I love Mix. Very very good at shooting games. Plays on the weekend, but then all of a sudden he's got these emotes that like make a sound go on, and when I say something for the very first time, like I have like a little like video intro that he's got there for me, like very special for like some of the VIPs that come around to his That sounded really terrible. Like the people who like come around often, like the regulars who come around.
Yeah.
I haven't
VIP.
seen. That's definitely absolutely not how I meant it.
Sean, the VIP of all streams. Maybe I need a sound effect.
I don't know.
It plays.
Well, that's just it. But you could have that with like so many of your. And the reason I'm bringing it up, and now that I've like totally put my foot in my mouth, is I recognize when people go that extra mile to go. I'm gonna make it a little bit more special. I'm gonna just like I could do what everybody else is doing, but I'm not. I'm gonna just try to. I'm just gonna take it up a little bit. And for you, I have to imagine it's like you and Micah. But I don't imagine Micah sending you any like emails in the middle of the night going like, "Hey man, this isn't up to snuff. This, and this. Like, please."
Yeah. No, every correction we make is all because of Micah behind the scenes. I mean, he has a whip, and he's like, "You better make this high quality."
Yeah.
No. Micah is. We are such different personalities, but at the same time, so similar in our interests and in our sense of humor. So it works so well as a duo. And you don't, that was something we've been told a lot recently, is like, you don't see that sort of thing with a lot of creative duos out there.
Yeah.
I think watching back to old clips with you and Bobby, you see an energy there. Not the same, not the same at all, but Bobby's personality and your personality are not the same. You guys are very different. We're very different individuals, and came together in a way that made something better, which I think Micah and I do to some extent in our own different way.
Definitely. You have to look at that. There's versions of that like everywhere, of like co-host or host and whatever the dynamic you want to call it. Like there's definitely something that's like notable when you've got people kind of like playing off each other. You have like David Letterman and Paul Schaefer. It's just like, how is that a thing? Like those guys are just like, what even are they? Like, what do you even call, you can't even like describe it. You can't even really define it. But Bobby was special in the way I'll take a moment to kind of like reflect on him, and that like my brain is so random, and which is maybe helpful for this show, because we're not going to be really staying on the same track of mine like for very long at all, because I'll take it somewhere else. But Bobby would like he would have something to say, and then it would trigger me to like say something stupid just to like chime in with something, and he would let me have my moment, and then he would just like carry on. He would just like power through, like he's just like, all right, like I'm glad you had that like little whatever that was, and then he would just, okay, keep going. And because he wouldn't be he's not gonna be derailed at all. He's not one to be derailed. He knew what he wanted to say, and he would get to it. Didn't matter, man.
Yeah, and in that same vein, the creative process, or the creative side of things, I am definitely the champion of that in our duo at Nintendo Pals.
Yeah, because
that's just I have the drive. I have the motivation to like the push to do that. Micah has never had that. It's not exclusive to podcasting. He is just laid back. That is his personality, and he is dependable and an extremely hard worker, but he's not going to be the one that will message me like, hey, maybe we should try this new idea. Like that. That's just not him, and that's okay.
So we can work. Do you have to like kind of, do you run things by him? Do you use him as a sounding board? Or you kind of like, are you whiteboarding by yourself? Yeah.
I whiteboard by myself quite a bit, but I bounce ideas. We bounce ideas back and forth. Mostly I'm the ideas guy, I'd say, and
just nonstop.
And Micah is the type of personality that is very self-critical and self-reflective. So he runs everything that he is thinking of doing and planning, like stream-wise and video-wise, by me, because he has this fear that it's not going to be good enough to. Where
does that come from?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So
it's not from
really?
Me. I don't. I do not.
I'll tell you.
Any sort of pressure. I do not put any sort of pressure on him. But maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Maybe. There's like this weird, like, he gets this weird sense that maybe, there's a high standard coming from somewhere. I'm not sure where it is. Like, rewind the tape like 6 minutes ago.
Yeah. Now that you say it like that, I haven't really thought about it that way, but we just don't. We don't look at each other. we don't look at each other competitively in our
I'm not
own
trying to
space.
suggest that I don't think there's anything like anybody's doing there that's like malicious or anything. But yeah, I think that maybe like there's an atmosphere of like, yeah, I mean, the expectations Nintendo Pals is going to look great, you know? And I'm really just proud of you guys because it really could just be something that you go like, we're just best friends. We're just making a show and that's it. But like you do have a standard. You do want it to make it look and sound great and you want to be better. And do you ever listen to like yourselves like back when you started? Do you ever think about like what the difference is from now and when you first started out?
Yeah, so 100% I do.
Yeah.
1,000% Micah does not. He can't. He actually has. He's like, I struggle to edit videos for our YouTube channel because he just does not like watching himself. Like that. Yeah. Not. But for me, I will listen back. I listen to most every episode of our own show. I listen to a lot of podcasts. You know that. I've talked to you about that before. Like I listen to Nintendo Drive every single week. I'm a huge fan of a lot of Nintendo podcasts. Yeah. Which is kind of funny to say because a lot of people are like, well, what's the difference between them? And I'll say the people are what's different. Yeah. And I love to hear the different perspectives on the exact same news piece. Yeah. And not everybody covers the same stuff. I mean, you and Kato lately are like diving in on the eShop. Not every show does that. Not a lot of shows do that, honestly. They're talking more specifically about news. And so I don't know. There's different flavors of similar stuff. Like that's
and I would say almost like more so in Nintendo. Maybe it's just where my focus is. But I think the variety in Nintendo Land is actually maybe greater than anywhere else. It's like PlayStation Land. It's a lot of like podcast beyond kind of versions of that. And I don't know. Maybe it's just Nintendo. There's a lot of things to be upset about. Is probably the case. Everybody's just gonna be. This group is gonna be mad about this thing. This group's gonna be mad about that, and spend 2 hours on the Wii U shop or whatever else. It's like it's just I don't know. We've all grown up with Nintendo as well, so it's just it's going to be different. I think.
Yeah, man. Totally. It's one of those things where I just think. So going back to your original question, I was like, how did we get to this?
What was my question?
I listen back to old. I have listened back on occasion to old episodes and going back to the very first Nintendo Pals. Please don't. People do that. I know because the stats on episode 1 are huge by comparison to everything else from that era. Please.
Are they really?
Yes.
You'll compare to everything else from that era, so they listened to 1 and stopped?
Yeah. They're like, okay, no. I'm done. Because it was our very first, and I have this mix of just do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Until I can hit this quality bar that I have. Because you can't, if you're going to wait until you can hit that bar, then you're going to have to, have thousands of dollars to start and classes that train you to do the different things that you want to be able to do. So just do it, like that's how most of these shows start. That's how most YouTubers start. That's how most anything creative wise starts.
Yeah. Which you did. And maybe that's to your point. Like, just do it. It's great. It gets you started, but I don't know that you really stayed there that long. Like you weren't just doing it. Like you were training, you were making it better. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things that is beyond just like you got started and didn't stop there. Basically,
it's my personality of I beat myself up, man. Like this isn't a therapy session. I know these We the GamerCasts can get kind of
sometimes, man. No, we're diving into this. No, settle in. We're diving in on this. We've been hanging on this topic longer than anything that I've ever done before. So we're diving in. Like, where does this come from, dude?
More of a constant look at myself and going like, it's not, that wasn't, I want to do better at this. I want to do better at that. Yeah. And it's taken me a lot of time throughout my life to get to a point where that's healthy and not a negative, like beat up yourself to the point of bad, but more of a be happy where you're at, but keep working towards the next level. Like that's the ideal. That's the ideal.
Agreed.
And this permeates beyond podcasting for me. I especially do this with parenting. I am constantly going like, gosh, I'm not a good enough dad. I say that to my wife. I say that to myself. And, my family would disagree. My kids think I'm awesome. My wife thinks I'm awesome. But Wow, that sounded really humble to say it like that.
No,
but,
it's balancing the equation, I think.
But for me, I've had conversations with my own parents, and I was like, I'm just like talking with my mom, like I'm just not doing as good as I want to with how I'm helping my kids grow and learn.
Yeah.
Like my son's struggling with this thing, and I don't know how to help him to handle that properly. My kids are still young. I mean, my oldest is 5.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, I think you are a better parent than I was, because I never even thought about that. I never once thought, like, I'm not doing a good enough job as a mom. She was like, I always felt like I was doing a pretty good job, and just kind of went. Where I am way more self-reflective. Like that. Yeah. That's just how I am with a lot of the stuff that I do, and it can be unhealthy, and I'm glad that I have my other half to help balance that out, and as well as just, you know, those moments of when you start to self-reflect on self-reflection. What's happening at that point?
Man.
You know,
we are meta now. But I feel like I found my spirit animal, because it's like, that's what I like to talk about, overthinking things. Let's self-reflect on self-reflection itself. Good God. Like, I just like going cross-eyed, getting a nosebleed, just like going in circles with this paradoxical kind of just, yeah. That is interesting though. Like, did it ever like get to a point where you felt like you needed to really change direction, or is it just something you've kind of been able to keep check on, and you've just been noticing? Like, I've definitely been talking about this with a few people in my life lately. It's just like, there's such an importance on just like acknowledging and noticing, like, just things around you. It's not even that you have to like make a big deal about it. You don't have to make a correction. It's just, when I had an interaction with my daughter, like, how was I? Was I patient? Was I not? Like, no judgment, no nothing. It's just, what was it? Just noticing. And I feel like the more I do that, it's like, that's got to be step one. Before you start to make a change of direction or action or whatever, it's like, what even is happening right now? So I'm curious, like, for you, like, to be in this space now, and I feel like that's a very kind of evolved place for you to be in, to recognize that there is a healthy version of being critical about yourself, but not beating yourself up to the point of like fatigue or even worse than that. So I'm curious, like, have you just always been able to notice that? Or
no.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been a journey, and I think I make small improvements on different aspects of my life as I notice them. So it's like, I feel like parenting for sure is one that's constant learning experience. I mean, you know this as being a dad of 2. It's you know, new challenges every day, and also new fun things every day. So there's that, and then
you know, literally my day today. By the way, it was like new challenge first thing in the morning. In the afternoon, took Lincoln skiing. He did a T-bar for the first time. Did a black diamond. It was awesome. I had like an absolutely like full day. I mean, it was like very slow, like, you know, pizza slice. I don't know if anybody knows skiing terms. You learn like you point your toes of your skis together. You can go very, very slow. They call it pizza slice. But he did that.
I know nothing about skiing.
Do you get how hot is it outside? Like, is it snow? Do you get snow at all?
Yeah. So nope. It's no snow. It was 80s today.
Good God. Yeah, no, it's like I shoveled like a foot of snow. But in any case, that's because I live in an igloo.
I used to live far up north and do the snow, but I never did the like winter sports, unless you count like sledding. Okay, I do want to come back to
I want to come back
to this
new challenges. Okay, where the pin is on new challenges, new fun stuff too.
But can I pause real quick, because we're talking about skiing, and I tie that in my brain with Canada.
Okay.
Okay, Sean, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about poutine, because
okay, yeah, here we go. Did you try it?
I had it for the first time it was just a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, what the heck are you guys doing? Bring that down. Yes. Why is it trapped up there in Canada?
It's not trapped. That's what I'm trying to tell people on the internet. Dude, I really was worried where this was going to go. Like, What the crap? Yes, it might sound weird to some people. Like, what are you putting the gravy on the fries for? But like, who doesn't love gravy? Who doesn't love fries? Who doesn't love melted cheese, cheese
Yeah, man.
curds, all
It's
mixed into one?
so good. So I
Yeah.
had it at a food truck. They did a breakfast
Oh
poutine.
yes, you did it right.
And so it was a poutine, and then it also had a like triple egg, like sunny side up on top
Oh
of it.
my god.
Oh,
It's just
oh,
cholesterol.
it's so good.
Yeah,
I was like,
arteries.
I was like, how on earth how have I
we
gone my whole
don't,
life?
I don't think, and I don't speak on behalf of the entire country, certainly not the French Canadian side of it. Like, I don't think that we're trying to keep it exclusive. You know, we're not like buying up Activision over here on it or anything. Just like go, like have it. Like we're just like the recipe is out there. It's not complicated. Like it's pretty simple. Just take it.
But there is a dark side to poutine. So I loved it so much.
Yeah, but
okay,
45 minutes later.
that I then had. yeah. No, I liked it so much that I was like to my wife, I was like, "You got it. We got to try this." Mm-hmm. So we actually had a trip to Disney World coming up soon after. So just recently went to Disney World, and at Epcot at Disney World, there is a section for Canada, and you can get poutine in the Canada section.
That's so good. I don't think I went to the Canada section. I'm like, I think I've got that at home. Like, I feel like I've got that experience locked down. I don't know if I need to go there.
It was not good. It was so gross.
Oh, really?
Disney doesn't know how to do poutine, man. They need to get it was the problem was, and I've heard you talk about this on your show before. This is why I tried it, by the way, is because I listened to you. I listened to Justin Masson over at the Nintendo Dads, and I was like, you know what? If these giants are going off poutine, I need to as well. You know, these giants. That makes it sound like a fat
that
joke.
sounds like
not where I was going.
A lot of poutine. That's okay.
Yeah.
I had onion rings and my kids left over McDonald's tonight, so we're good.
Someday that sponsorship will come, I think. But they did not have the gravy hot enough to melt the cheese.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they just used they went to Walmart and they got they got whatever you can get that's below Great Value brand, you know? Like that's the fries they were using.
The 7-Eleven brand of shredded cheese, maybe.
It was just so bad, and I was so disappointed because it was like my wife's first poutine experience, and she's like,
"That's no good.
This isn't good."
Oh, that's too bad. It's funny. Yeah. I kind of thought of poutine the way like maybe some people would say and describe pizzas. Like there's no such thing as bad pizza, and I'm already hearing people like grumble and moan like there's actually such bad. No, like pizza's pizza and pizza's great. Like I'll eat any kind of pizza, and maybe that's just me and my relationship with food is a little bit strange. But yeah,
pizza's that way for sure.
You think so?
There's no such thing as a bad pizza. I haven't had one yet.
Okay, so why did your parents leave you with this like weird? Not weird. This self-reflective, self-damaging, high standard.
Why did they do this to me?
I'm trying my best to be stupid and redistribute us back to where we were before, but I probably just offended you in 6 different ways.
Yeah. So, like I was talking with my mom about that's how she parented. I am much more like my dad. My dad is definitely on the side of more critical and more self-reflective on that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, just where I think I kind of wish I had some more of my mother ability to like just let it roll, you know? She's fantastic at that. Fantastic. I got great parents. Just like don't get too self-critical. You know? She's easy to just go like if she makes mistakes, she'll fix it and move on. There's not that point of beat up on yourself for having done a bad job as a parent or a bad job at whatever project or thing you're working on. Or I mean, it can be applied to anything. It can be applied to anything. So that self-reflective quality, I think, is helpful in the podcasting space because I just am constantly trying to do better and be better. But at the same time, for me, I'm having a really good time doing it. Like that's if it was, I was Mike and I were talking about this just recently. It was like if this was for numbers, where we were like chasing clout, we would have quit forever ago. Like,
oh yeah,
because we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary for our podcast. Will be in May, starting Nintendo Pals podcast. And I mean, are we pulling in thousands of listens? Are we pulling even hundreds of listens? No.
Yeah.
But we're having a really good time. And I think that shows. And we have a community, and not only do we have a Nintendo Pals community, we have a Nintendo podcast community.
Yeah.
Like that we can be, I feel like I could call up you. I could call up any of the guys over the Nintendo Dads, our buddy Seth, Eric, All In podcast. Tons. I mean, if I start going down the list, I can name a whole bunch of people.
Way to leave out literally everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else. But I call them up and just have a chat and just hang out, or if I was having a problem or needed help with some sort of content creation thing, and I do that. I like, hey, what do you guys do for this? Well, and that's really cool, and it's a really nice community, and I don't know, like that's one of the things I think is really cool about it. It's something where everybody wants to help each other.
Yeah,
at least most everybody.
What's that?
At least most everybody I've interacted with.
I think so. Well, you know what the thing is especially with the people you're talking about, like we're all not that far off from starting out ourselves. So like the memory and the pain of everybody's gone through that. Like nobody starts off this thing and is like an expert at every area. So we've all kind of gone through some painful moments or trying moments or something where we're trying to squeeze in learning something new for the very first time and then doing it on a deadline. And it's like, that is just an absolute concoction, just an absolute perfect recipe for stress hormones to be racing through your body. Like, oh, I'm doing this for the first time and it like I need it like now. Like, oh my gosh, just blood pressure through the roof. And so that's memorable, maybe is the one way to say. Like, it doesn't really, whether you remember the very specific moment or series of moment to moment stuff that happened is one thing, but I think the way that you are left feeling is what is left behind, and that encourages, I think, a lot of us to reach out to others if they or be responsive if they're looking for it, because it's like, like I like you, I don't want you to go through this crappy thing that I went through. So if I can help you avoid that, then I feel good about it, and hopefully you'll feel good about it as well. I don't know if it's any more complicated than that, but I think it's just because we've all been there. Yeah,
and because we all like gaming and stuff, like there's like that aspect of thing? Like, I feel like if I lived closer to any of these guys, I'd be, hanging out with them in real life. We'd be doing meetups, hangouts. I don't know, like.
Have you gone to anything cool. Like before the whole like global condition? Like, did you ever go to?
We started our show in the middle. We started our whole show in the middle of that.
Yeah.
You're talking.
Did you ever go to like? Yeah, before any of that.
No. Yeah. No, I've never been to a PAX. I've never been to like a Comic-Con or like any sort of gaming event. Mm-hmm. And
do you want to do that?
I think it would be really fun. I think it'd be really cool. Mm-hmm, but it's also tough to do. I am no longer a bachelor with unlimited time. I got work, I got family, and that's that stuff. It's hard to plan in a way that you can make that kind of stuff work. Mm-hmm. And they're all so far away. Like, need more of them. We need more of them somehow closer to where.
I don't know why that cracked me up so much. Like they're not in your backyard. Like, why not? Like,
okay, can we just do a bit? Yeah. Nintendo PalCon.
I feel that, dude.
That would be my backyard.
It is. I don't know. It is amazing though. Like, we can get there. We can get everybody to these places. This is why I'm asking the question. I just want to put it out there. It is possible. It is hard. I'm not saying that it's not. That's possible.
I know you invited me to New York. I remember
and I'm inviting you again. I'm inviting you again, and I'm gonna go to Franklin, Tennessee, to go celebrate Married to the Games and their 500th episode, because those guys mean the world to me, and I know Chelsea, my wife, like knows that means everything, and you know that we just kind of just make it work, and a lot of this kind of helps all that kind of stuff too, you know, Patreon and whatever else definitely helps take that out, and I just want to like it's possible. And I'm not suggesting it's guaranteed, but like bring it up. You know, you ask about it, you talk about it. Like actually it kind of goes back to one of the questions I was going to ask you about before. Like, what does your family think about this? And like you're really like doing the podcasting stuff and getting the cameras and the microphone and everything. Like, do they go like, this kind of like Dad's just doing his weird stuff, and that's probably a tale as old as time. His dad's doing his weird hobby. The kids are in bed.
My kids love this stuff.
Yeah, man.
They love it. Hey, I don't know if your kids ask to go on to stream. Mine do mine all the time. My son is like, can I come on and say hi? And so I mean, I've done a lot of streams where my kids will make guest appearances, and they'll pop in. And I've also done streams with that are like father son. We'll play Wii Sports on stream.
Oh, so nice! Like that's awesome.
And he just lives for it. Every Nintendo Direct reaction video, my son is there for.
Look at that.
So,
dude, that's the best. You'll just have those captured forever.
Yeah. We had a really good time this last time. Because this last time was the first time he sat through the entire thing. Most of the time he's like about midway through, he's like, all right, well I'm all done, and then he'll head off.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, we're just sitting through like marketing materials.
We're just watching commercials for 40 minutes.
So good. You know, it did work though when I think I might have told the story on the Nintendo Drive, but like I was really excited about the new Kirby game that's coming out, and I was showing my kids the trailer, and they wanted to play Kirby like right then and there. Like, but they don't understand that this trailer means that this game is coming out like later. They don't even understand like the concept of later. Like, I've actually had that conversation with them. They're like, what do you mean later? I'm like, not now. Like, but later. Like, what do you mean? What do I mean? Like, how do you describe that? That's parenting, like, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? What do I mean? Like, this is just the thing. Like Thursday. What do you mean? Like, what do I mean by Thursday? That's
my
that's
kids.
The day of the week.
My kids. I played the demo with my son for Kirby, because that just came out. The Kirby
man, dude,
demo.
I'm behind on my demo. My backlog of demos is actually insurmountable.
Well, that is crazy to say. That backlog of demos. Yeah, and he's just here with me, and it's really cool. I have completely brainwashed and indoctrinated my children into being Nintendo fans.
Yeah. So is that you like patting yourself on the back for parenting, or like what is?
I don't know.
I'm gonna like slowly but surely get myself back to here.
Should I be patting myself on the back for that sort of parenting? I'm not sure, but
I think you are. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the green light on that, because it's all about just like common interests and spending time together, and like having something that you can just be like excited about together. Holy crap, dude! Like, that's everything.
Yeah,
you know, it feels like, but it probably feels like cheating in a way, because it's video games, but it's like not
because it's something I'm into.
So few parents outside of this realm, so few parents have any idea what the hell their kids are interested in.
It's true, and it's one of those things where I think it's just as a parent, I want my kids to have hobbies and interests,
same,
and things that they like. And right now they're in copy dad mode, right? Like they just sort of they do what their parents do. And so my kids really like board games. My kids really like Nintendo stuff. They really like
creating thumbnails and podcasts and video editing. So
I have full videos of my son recording himself podcasting.
That's the best. There you go. See?
And he says podcasting, but it's really streaming. There is nothing on screen, but he is narrating a game. He's like, oh man, I got that guy. Oh, and he's just kind of mimicking what he sees me do and what he sees other people do on that sort of stuff, and it's just so fun. I love that sort of thing. Yeah, man. I like to see those interests explored and grown, because my parents didn't do that sort of stuff with me. My parents were gamers when I was born. Like I was born into gaming, but they fell out.
Yeah.
way before I was old enough to like be interested in it. We just had.
Do you ever think about like why that was the case though? Do you ever think about like why they fell out of gaming?
I do. And like why that hasn't happened to me. Like I've thought that because it seems like this generation of parents, you know, guys our age, there's a little bit of a range between me and you. But
so I've heard.
That we like didn't stop being kids, man. Like that's really what it comes down to. I don't know. I really don't know. I've asked my parents before, and they're like, I think for them it got too complex. You know.
Yeah, the actual like agility or whatever the reflexes needed, and the number of buttons even grew. You know, 1 to 2 to 3 to whatever.
So there's a little bit of that, but then I think just adulthood kind of takes away from that. And if you're not making time for yourself and for those hobbies, then they're probably gonna drop off and fall away. That's just the reality of time management as an adult.
Yeah, like what the heck were they even doing? Like, you know what they were doing though that we're not doing? They went to the bank, you know? Like they did their banking at the bank. They meant to drive there and wait in a line and like deposit a check. You know, they didn't even have like for some. I don't know. Maybe your parents are probably quite a bit younger than my parents. Like I still remember going to the bank, waiting in line. Like I remember when they this. I'm so old. Holy crap! Like there's an ATM installed. Like I remember that being a thing. Like that's the faster way of doing your banking. And it's like holy crap, man! Like those are things. It's all over the place. Like I would go pay my bills. I'd go to the bank so I could pay like my phone bill or
that is some. I never thought about this. You are 100% right though.
We have so much more
free. We have so much more free time than.
But we don't, and that's the thing, and that's why I kind of want to bring it up is because I think if you ask somebody, the average person, do you feel like you have a lot of free time? And most people, I would almost guess like 97% of people say like, no, I'm slammed. I have so much to do. But like, there's definitely things that we don't have to do. Like your paycheck goes, for the most part, I think, like most people's paycheck goes right into their bank account. Like I had a job where I actually got a check and to go to the bank and go deposit that. Like there's just fewer and fewer things that you do. Like so much of life is actually on autopilot. And this is kind of what I was talking about before, like just noticing. Like I haven't thought about this in a long time, but like now that I'm thinking about it, like, holy crap, like that's awesome. Like life in the world is just crazy right now, but isn't it sweet that our paychecks get put directly into our bank account and even have to ask, you know? And many of us have a job where I don't have to dispute it every 2 weeks, or like Brenda at payroll isn't screwing it up every single time. Like, come on, Brenda, like pick it up. It just works. It's just, like,
or
I don't know,
how like I don't have to know how to go anywhere. Like, I can just get in my car and be like, I feel like McDonald's. Boop.
Yep.
Go to McDonald's. Like that's insane. I remember driving pre even like GPS, right?
Oh, big time. Yeah. Or actually even worse than pre-GPS was like mid-GPS. Like when they were just like MapQuest or like, you know, like when it was just like, it was kind of there.
I printed off directions to places because I didn't have a GPS, right? And then you'd have like, I'd be reading the instruction manual on how to go somewhere while driving. How is that?
Yeah, super safe. Or like, you know, the maps on the GPS weren't updated, so like you just never knew. Like I remember like being late to a bunch of stuff.
So many memories for me right now.
Yes, like missing a meeting or an important something or whatever. It's like, oh, Google Maps took me whatever the other side of town. And it's like, I don't know about you, but especially like where I'm in Canada, it's like it took a while for us to like really rely on Google Maps even. Like it just and or Apple Maps, whatever the heck, the one that comes with just default like on iPhone.
And now they're like alerting you to when there's like accident ahead, or
pretty
there's something
accurate
on the road ahead, and you're like,
you can. And as a passenger, hopefully you're not the one doing this as a driver, but as a passenger, you're like, I'll be there in 17 minutes. Like if you're meeting somebody at, you know, Tim Hortons, for example, I'll be there in 17 minutes, and it's like it's exactly that.
Yeah,
that's where we are, man. Like it is pretty good.
Google's freaky in what it knows.
I know. I think about that too.
Dude, I had an alert pop up today that was like, memes are taking up too much space on your phone. Delete these memes. I don't have a folder called memes. This is just my phone knows. And it was like, here's these suggested ones to delete. And I'm like, there's no way. I click into it. These are all memes. It scanned through my pictures and knows. Oh, that's scary.
What about the one, and it probably does this for your kids as well, like where it will identify them as a baby and then just track them throughout their life. Like, I mean, you can tell, I mean, I'm a human being, so I can see it, and I'm a dad, so I can look at a picture of him as a baby and go like, that's the same person as this almost 5-year-old in front of me. But like the computer knows it. Like it tracks this child.
I remember back when like facial recognition software was like brand new and Facebook was like auto tagging all these pictures of my brother that weren't me, and it was like, boop, it's like, is this you? I'm like, no, that's my brother. That's my dad.
That's just it. Is like we were around it where it wasn't working for so long that like all of a sudden it was just there, and it's like, wait a second. It's like they figured it out, and it wasn't supposed to work like this well. It's kind of like, I don't know about you, and I don't know, I haven't been in school for a very long time, but I took 2 languages when I was in high school. I took French and Italian, and the internet was super unreliable, but it was possible for you to like try to do your like French homework or Italian homework, like using Google. I don't even know what it was called, but like a Google internet translator.
Yeah.
Like what does this word look like? Yeah. So if like I was supposed to respond in this language, I would type it out in English, throw it into this translator, spit out the answer or what I thought was the answer, and then copy that into my homework. And like anybody who speaks the language goes, it's so obvious what you did here was just use this bunk ass tool on the internet. But I don't know if that's the case anymore. It seems like you can use like the camera on your phone. Look at us with our like just canes. We're like, the technology today is
like,
amazing.
Man, back in my day we used a map.
Yeah, but you hold up your phone to like a sign that's in like Japanese or something, and it just like translates it. Like it kind of like just digitized blurs, and I don't know. It's just wild, dude.
It really is. Yeah. I mean,
so travel the world. You got a translator in your pocket. You just got to pay
we're at a point now, Sean. Like technologically, we're bringing actors back to life. That
is weird.
That word.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Look really good. I have you watched Mandalorian? You watched Book of Boba Fett?
Dude, no, I haven't got to it's nothing against them. It's just
okay. I haven't watched them either, but I'm really interested in technology. So
but Star Wars is what I was thinking when you're saying
learning about the new Luke Skywalker, right? And how
spoilers. Yeah,
this is spoiler tag here.
It just said I haven't watched it.
Spoiler. I just said it, so forget what I said. I'm sorry, Sean.
Oh my god, no, it's okay.
No, so
it's okay.
so they.
I have to be clear. I don't want you to feel bad about this at all. I just saw somebody else mention that about this because what you just said isn't really a spoiler. It just kind of reaffirmed something else.
This has nothing to do with the story or anything.
Sure.
Technologically, they have in the show Luke Skywalker, but from the 70s.
Yeah, that's totally crazy.
And what is really crazy is that his voice is entirely computer generated.
Terrifying.
It is
like
terrifying.
These deep fake things is just insane. Like, well, they can have somebody who you think is a real person saying something like awful, like who not like that is the kind of stuff that really terrifies me.
But it's also really
so don't worry about like the parenting you're doing. You know, the end of the world is here, and it's going to be brought on by these deep fakes and God knows.
I'm not even going to be parenting my kids in another couple of years. I'm just going to have a digital version of myself doing that for me. It's gonna be.
What about VR? You're in Nintendo land, but like, do you ever want to venture off into VR land?
Oh yeah, no, I'm crazy. Yeah. I am crazy interested in VR. It's super cool tech.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm.
I thought that the Switch would have more functionality with it. Doesn't it seem like it should?
No, not even a little bit.
These Joy-Cons, and then you have the screen. Like that seems like that would be a headset. Like,
I have said well, there was a time when like in your phone, what was the Google thing? They had like the Google Cardboard.
Lens. Yeah.
No,
it
was like
Google Cardboard.
It was like it was like your phone could be used as the screen and that kind of thing. Like I think maybe when that was a thing, I thought maybe Switch would do something there. And I still maintain that.
I mean, they kind of did. They had that VR Labo kit. That was essentially the same thing.
It's got literally cardboard.
Yeah, no, I think that if Nintendo hits the VR market though, which I could see it happening.
So could I.
They will
In like
they will make
1997.
they will make it mainstream. Yeah, they did. They already did. Virtual Boy 2. That's what's coming
Can you
next.
imagine they
You heard
actually
it here
keep the
first.
name too, Virtual Boy? No, I'm with you, and I think it's just they have the IP, they have the focus on making it an experience that people actually want to do. Like, I don't know, man. It's just we keep trying to impress people and impress like the general public, the casual person. It's like people aren't won over by being impressed, really. Like in the grand scheme of things, they're won over by like convenience. And this is the whole like Game Pass argument that I have. Is like if you can like accidentally end up with Game Pass, that's the goal for Xbox. Over there, it's like Netflix. Nobody remembers signing up for Netflix for the first time. You just like, I guess I have it now.
Yeah,
Like
I have that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like, I have that. Or signing up for the internet as an example. It's like, I guess I just have this now.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
that is the case with a lot of the success Nintendo has seen. I mean, you look at the Wii. That's the way the Wii was. The Wii was
That's
like
what I'm
Game
saying,
Pass.
man.
You're like, when did we get a Wii in our house? Where did all these
It's just a thing
plastic
to have.
guitars and stuff come from? You know, like everybody just had those.
And I guess people were impressed. I shouldn't say that so broadly, but I think people were impressed in a certain way, like that it worked and that it was like innovative. Like it's just not in the traditional sense. It's not like, look at the technology behind it. Like nobody was like, the motion technology is what impressed them. It was the fact that it worked and like they got up and doing something different. It kind of captured them in that way. But it wasn't, nobody was marveling, I don't think, on a casual level on the patents that were in the Wii remote. Although some of us were. That's not what won Grandma and Grandpa over.
Yeah, and that's who pushed us to over 100 million for the Wii was not the gamers. It was like the newcomers to gaming.
But now what do you say about Switch? Is Switch the only thing about Switch is that it's a console that can and should be purchased multiple times within a household? Like, is that really the big difference? Because you think that I don't know that it hasn't went over like the Grandma and Grandpa's is not necessarily as blue ocean as the Wii was, but it sold more than the Wii. So is it the handheld part that
I
brother
do
and
think
sister
so.
can have one?
I actually recently asked the question out on Twitter, why didn't if you didn't pick up a Wii U at launch, why did you not buy one?
Yeah.
And so many people answered with like there was basically the equivalent of everything coming out on the 3DS. And it's pretty true, actually. If you look at the library, there was always like a 1-to-1 game equivalent. You got 3D Land on the 3DS. You got 3D World on the Wii U. There was a new Super Mario Bros. Even Smash Bros. Yeah, there was like no exclusive to Wii U sort of thing that got people over there. And there were a lot of people on the 3DS train, and there were a lot of people on the DS train. So I do think the handheld is a big pull for Switch owners in general. But
give us that Switch Lite OLED. I'm telling you, man.
Oh, it needs to happen.
That'd be amazing.
It really does need to happen.
I think true Vita killer.
I think it's a gimmick that is not a gimmick. It's a feature. You know what I mean? I mean the Switch.
Oh, definitely. No, I don't think of all the things Nintendo has done, I think that's the least gimmicky thing out there.
I mean, but that is its shtick. You know, like that's its thing. That's what it is. It does, and it does it well. And it doesn't have to be the most powerful piece of hardware to keep on selling like hotcakes.
Obviously,
I was going to ask you. So you just got a PS5.
Yes.
A little birdie told me, and that little birdie was you. He said, "I've got a PS5." So have you gotten all of the PlayStations? Have you gotten all of the Xbox consoles?
Over time, yes. The first PlayStation I bought, like, kind of early on, like when it was still active, was actually PS3. But before that, it would have been Xbox. Xbox, yes. I've gotten all... Oh, there's your cat in the background. Look at that. Xbox, I've had every single one.
That's Midna, by the way. Midna the cat.
Oh, what a great name for a cat. Oh, that's awesome.
Tiny little black cat.
It just appeared out of nowhere. It just looked like kind of came out of your back pocket almost. Very strange. Yeah, Xbox every single one. PlayStation no. Every Dreamcast. Okay. I've had every Dreamcast.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You kept the Dreamcast, the dream alive with the Dreamcast.
But I ended up going back in time with PS2. I got the slims or like the very, very slim versions of those.
My question for you is now you have the Xbox Series X.
Yes.
And you have the PS5.
Yes.
The generational leap this time around, is it as impressive as other generational leaps that you've gone through?
Good question. I think so. I think it is.
Okay. Because I am hearing mixed from people. I'm a Nintendo only guy.
Most would say no, and I'm tempted, and I am kind of like leaning that, but I am going to say, and some people will agree with this, or some people won't, is I think just the hard drives itself changes gaming for me big time. Like the fact that these things load up, these games load, and these systems start up so fast. Like it's, and even I was actually just commenting on the last week's episode of We the GamerCast. In the intro, I was talking a little bit about my like getting started with the PS5 is a nightmare. Going from PS4 to PS5, trying to bring things over and having it in a very specific instance, going from like playing Horizon on PS4 Pro and then picking that game up on my PS5, like comparatively from like to what Xbox is doing now and to what previous generations used to be just standard, like the fact that we can even do this is very nice. You know, that we think of these things in this way as the games are going to work back and forth. Like that wasn't a guarantee and it hardly was even a thing. So I think that's something that gets lost in the conversation when people go like, this generational leap is like nothing. It's like, your games carry over, fool. You know, like that's a huge deal. But
yeah,
my experience,
really
you know, like bring over your Wii games or your Wii U games. Like that ended with the Wii U. You know, you can't play, like the Wii games worked over, of course. But that's kind of it.
I tried throwing my disc at slamming it into my Switch. It's not
you ever
working.
See those like trick shots that one? There's like one guy on YouTube does it.
Yes.
He's like throwing like discs around.
Those are insane. But yeah.
Speaking of taking time to do the things, yeah, no, I think it is. And I'm excited to see kind of like what this year has in store for us as well, because I always think any console generation takes about a year and a bit for that one game to go holy crap. But I think it's worth it. I definitely think it is. That PS5 is way too big though, dude. It's like it's borderline unacceptable. Like it's just good that it's got great games on it, but like we've really just kind of breezed past this, huh? Like it's just that big. Like okay, it's got this stupid little stand on it. And it looks backwards mostly. I think the design of it is hideous. I think it's one of the worst. I don't usually like even going on this sort of like negative thing, and I don't want to do like a negative article, but I want to look at some of the worst designed like consoles. I think this is one of them, man.
That would be such a fun video. I may have to steal that idea. Like the worst designed consoles.
I know, but it's just so negative. Just even in its premise, it's just like I don't know.
Okay, we'll just put it as a tier list of design. You know, because then you're talking both ends of the spectrum.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we'll do that. What is the best one? Yeah.
I mean, because
what do you think is the best?
The OLED is gorgeous, man. I love how this thing looks. I can't pull it. It's attached to the stand, but I mean, just like in the dock.
It really, yeah, because it's all screen. That's the big difference. Like as you were saying it, I'm like, what is it?
The Wii U. The Wii U is like, it looks very plasticky, like like almost Fisher Price toy looking. You know?
Yeah, that's probably that CD territory. Yeah.
I don't know. Best looking system. That's tricky. Because there's like some appeal to like retro consoles. I'll have to give that some thought.
I actually will give it as much shit as I just gave the PS5. I think the original like PS4, one of the best looking consoles ever made. Like that day one PS4, I thought that was like I even think it was so good that it was maybe one of the first times ever that the slim version of a console didn't look as good as the OG. Like it was smaller, and so you like that, and there's maybe other benefits that came around with it. But I think the slim PS4 didn't look as good as the day one.
I've always liked the look of the Xbox 360.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was a cool looking system, and maybe because it had so many color combinations. I was gonna say I have a lot of love for the N64. It came with so many colors you could get.
Yeah, good call.
Jungle
Green.
For
Jungle
Xbox Green is the best.
Xbox One X is probably up there as well. I put One X and the PS4 day one side by side for sure. Game Boy Pocket, if we're gonna go handheld as well. I think Game Boy Pocket's one
handheld. DS. Okay, so DS to DS Lite was like, wow,
Oh,
what a glow up you got there, DS.
Yeah, like what were you thinking with the DS, man? They just wanted the
I think
two
it's
screens.
hideous.
That's it.
Yeah.
They just wanted two screens. It was very fancy.
That looked like the
That was like
prototype.
an 80 cell phone.
That looked like the
phone.
prototype for what came. Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
totally.
Yeah, you're so right. It's like,
You know what I mean?
The exact evolution of like cell phones. Like it was like
Yeah.
these massive chonkers of a machine.
You're just happy to have it. It's like a GameCube or like a Game Gear. You're just happy it was on the go. Like,
yeah.
But it's hideous.
Game Gear.
And I think
Oh,
I think we'll look back at the people are gonna hate me for saying this too. Like I think we'll look back on the Steam Deck like that as well. Like it's impressive for what it is. It's crazy that that thing's even available and blah blah blah. But like I don't think that that's like an aesthetically pleasing piece of kit. I don't look at that and go like, holy, like let me put that on my shelf.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
I don't think so.
I agree with you there. You know, I do this a lot, but I like to go back to points in conversation where I was like, oh, I had a thought on this.
45 minutes ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is me. This is why my podcast goes so long. I apologize for everybody. It's like, oh, I remembered what I was going to say. You asked the question about like what my family thinks about it. I talked about my kids. Yeah. I want to talk about the greatest person ever, just my wife. Mm-hmm. She is super supportive of me doing podcasting and doing this stuff because it makes me happier and better everywhere else. Because it's an outlet for me. Man. Mm-hmm. Because it's an outlet for me and makes me more bearable throughout the day to have like my me thing. And and I always sort of feel bad taking up lots of time to do things like streaming takes a lot of time. YouTube editing is the slowest thing in the freaking world. Like it is. So for a 10-minute video, I mean, easy on the like I'm working my tail off. It's 4 hours. Like that's a really generous.
Yeah.
A really generous estimate. It takes a lot of work to make stuff the quality that I'm making. I know a lot of our friends in the podcasting space don't put as much effort into those edits and will just kind of drag and drop what they have from stream or from whatever they've made and pull it over. But I don't do that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe sometimes I wish I was like, I'll just do it like that. That would be a lot easier. But
can I tell you that's going to pay dividends big time? Like I can almost guarantee it. I can't guarantee anything, but I will say, you know, somebody else, not exactly the same thing, but Mr. Babbitt over at the Trophy Room. I don't even know if I've really said this to him. I don't know if he listens to the show. I don't
listen to the Trophy Room. All I know about Mr. Badbit is secondhand through Sean Capri.
No,
because like I said, I'm not a Nintendo. I'm not a Nintendo. I am a Nintendo only console owner, so I don't listen to a whole lot of gaming podcasts outside this sphere. He's been on your shows, and I listen to those.
Now that you've offended him personally,
Mr. Badbit, you're awesome. You're awesome.
Mr. Badbit,
come
here's
do
the thing.
Some Nintendo stuff.
I'm gonna like take your foot out of your mouth right now. The thing that him and I used to talk about a lot was he would go on and on, very similar to like what you're saying here about the effort and the extra time that you're putting into these things that I think in the end will matter. He would say very similar things about like search engine optimization for his podcast. And I remember thinking like he would tell me these things. And I remember thinking like, why? Who gives a crap about like SEO for podcasts? Like that doesn't nobody Googles like an episode or anything. And lo and behold, like you fast forward a couple of years from when we had those conversations, and like he does great. It is absolutely paid off. Like that definitely is something that he was bang on right about. I didn't think was doing anything any benefit, and to be fair, probably in that like short term, that very like immediate time around it, probably wasn't paying him any benefit either. But I wanted to just kind of like it reminded me of that. Like you're putting in this extra time to do the thing. I think in the long run, it will pay off for you for sure.
I hope so. So that's where it comes back to what I was saying at the very beginning, where it's like, I really wish I had more time because there's so much more I could do. Time is my nemesis when it comes to Nintendo pals. And if I could just spend all day working on stuff like that, I totally would, because it's so fun to me. And I originally started doing podcasting because it was faster. It's faster than making videos, and it's faster than doing anything else. And I didn't have a whole lot of time.
Totally is. Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
I vastly underestimated how much work does go into a podcast. Let me tell you that much.
Yeah,
but
it is different.
Was that way.
So like, yeah.
But it has grown to the point where I am making videos again, anyways. So what was I doing? I just painted myself back in the same corner. But here's the thing: is it's because I enjoy doing it that I come back and I keep working on it. I don't know if you have this same sort of experience, because you've been podcasting for a long while, and now you have, I don't know how many shows you got now.
Too many. I actually literally lose track. Yeah, too many.
And
sickness.
And it's just like, because it's fun. Like that. That's why I keep doing it. I hope you're having a good time, because otherwise, what are you doing with yourself, Sean?
What are you doing? I honestly think some people should ask themselves that. Like, if you're actually not having fun, then like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really like, and you when you say it, it's just so pure and like crystallized, like not pure and like an innocence kind of thing. I just think it's like you're so focused on the fun that's like, it's just so obvious to me.
I hope that comes across, because I feel like I can come off to be seem quite pushy, quite self-promotionally. I mean, I am wearing 2 pieces of merch for my stuff right now.
Go after it,
dude. I really don't like that. I am actually very self-conscious of being very appearing to be like a salesperson. I don't like it. I hate dealing with salespeople. I hate dealing with anybody that is like so intense about something. You know, like you never. I don't like that, and I don't want to be that guy. So if anybody out there listening does feel that way, I apologize. You know, that is not my intent ever.
It's a fine line. No, you definitely have to be forward. You have to be like clear on what you want people to do, and you know that's a thing. But yeah, it can be. I think you kind of talked about it before. Like, do you have a relationship? Like, what is you're aware of your relationship either with like people in your inner circle or whatever, or even just your relationship like with the audience as well. Like, you're very mindful about that sort of thing, and I think that's the difference. Instead of just being like completely blind and then like tone deaf, just blurt out whatever you're going to be saying to try to pitch a thing. Like, you know, it's one thing to go for an example. Like, I think with We the GamerCast, with this show in particular, like I kind of hammer on the Patreon stuff and like I talk about it more than in any of the shows probably combined. And it's just like I've given myself the space in the show to do it. I think that if you're listening to this show, this isn't like the entry point into the Yumi Capri kind of like universe. I don't think, like, if you're searching for like, how do you get here? You know, how do you get to We the GamerCast? It's like,
We the GamerCast is not what comes up when you even search Sean Capri or you search
this is why. Yeah, search engine optimization, not good. It's not really like a video game podcast, which who even searches that? Like, people search for platform stuff. So Nintendo Pals, excellent. You know, Nintendo Dads, like, talk about that. Like, I mean, I
am so proud of can I toot my own horn here? SEO has been something I've been working on so much with Nintendo Pals. And we, for the last like month or so, we're sitting up in like the top 5 in search results on almost every platform.
What?
And that is how I discovered the Nintendo Dads. Let me tell you that. Like,
I'm telling you, man.
I searched in the podcast app. I actually just searched on Google Nintendo podcast, and I think they were 3rd at the time. They showed up 3rd in my search results. Nintendo Dads.
I don't know if I'm gonna go Google right now. Nintendo podcasts. Let's see.
I think right now we show up like 10th or something like that.
Oh yeah, because Google does this thing. Like, it'll show them like across the top. Just like, it's not even like you have to go to like a feedspot.com or something. So Nintendo Powercast actually shows up first. That's N64 Josh.
No.
I'm sorry. No.
You're talking
Nintendo
official
Powercast.
It's always
Powercast.
that, and then
that's
Josh.
Right. Oh, look at that. You're right. Nintendo Powercast.
He's riding that, man. Like,
it's
great for him, because they're.
And
so
he was
close.
there first. Actually, he started that show first.
Yes. Yeah. And then Nintendo comes in and just gives like, it's a perfect name. So nice. I am like so excited for him and the growth he's gotten over the
Just crushing it. Okay, so sorry. Nintendo Power Podcast, the actual Nintendo one, then IGN's NVC, then N64 Josh, then the Switchcast, which I'm not too familiar with, Radio Free Nintendo, then Nintendo Pals. You guys are right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on Google.
Cool. So 6.
Then it's Nintendo Dispatch, which I actually don't know about, and then Nintendo Dads.
Oh, I like Nintendo Dispatch. Oh. They also do a deep dive on the eShop. They're the only other ones that do that.
Look at this. Yeah,
I listen to a lot of these shows
because
I consume Nintendo podcasts like a machine. I just enjoy it a lot. Yeah,
I love it. Shaq is right there next to the House of Mario. Nintendo Drive is about like a slide and a half down. It's not definitely not top 10 or 20, but that's okay. I'll take it.
You just need to start
that's a good deal, man.
You just need to start putting Kato's name in the title. Console Kato, and then it'll be up there, skyrocket to 1.
Speaking of which, that's where we get all the listeners. I'll check on this, and then we'll probably 99.6K subs for Kato over there. Just about 100,000 subs.
Gosh, it's so cool.
I
just recently subbed. I should have subbed forever ago, but I just recently subbed. Great stuff over there.
Even if you're not into Animal Crossing, it'll just settle you a little bit.
I don't.
Andross,
what? Go, yeah.
No. I'm going somewhere else. So what do you got?
I was gonna say I find Kato's energy so entertaining and so unique. I hate to make comparisons between creators, but I get some like Micah vibes when watching Kato stream, because she will just like and especially in the podcast with you, I'm like Kato is the Micah to Sean Capri. Because you'll come in and just be like, oh yeah, I'm so excited about this thing, and she's like, that's not happening, Sean. That's not happening, Sean.
That's the sauciness right
it's
there.
It's so fun. I hope I don't offend anybody in making those sorts of comparisons. I mean that in the most complimentary way possible, because Micah is one of my favorite people ever. So yeah.
At Nintendo_pals on Twitter, is that where people should send their angry
at Nintendo Pals? We're just Nintendo Pals on Twitter.
Nintendo Pals, you got it. You nailed it, man. I'm not there yet, but I'm almost there. I want to ask you one last thing before we get there. I want to do this more often, but like what's on your mind? Like when you come to a podcast like this, like you know what you're stepping into. You know what I mean? Like you know you're going to be in a completely open-ended, just let's chat about stuff. Did you have something like on your mind coming into today's chat?
I mean we've covered it. We've covered it. What's been on my mind recently has been a lot. I mean, I eat, sleep, and breathe Nintendo Pals stuff right now, and just feeling, feeling that like I don't want to say I'm trying to like. I'm trying to articulate the way I feel. Feeling the excitement for making stuff and like figuring out having fun with it, but also feeling a little bit like, dang, I hope this continues to grow, because now it's been, since we started, slow growth, so like a trickle, and it's just been a constant trickle, and I just hope that someday a flood appears, you know, and we just get like open the faucet and like a whole bunch of stuff comes from it, because I really like it. I really like doing it. But I'm gonna keep going regardless. Like that's really what's been on my mind. And besides that, parenting, you know, we talked about that stuff too, because that's really all I have time to think about.
Yeah, it's the truth
between those two things,
and not banking. Not paying
and poutine, you know, I brought everything to the table that was on my mind prior to coming in. I was like, I need to talk to Sean about poutine. I gotta ask, so you're in the middle of gaming for Guru,
yes,
right now. I gotta ask, what's on your mind as coming into that event? Because I actually told my wife, and she's like, they're doing that again? I was like, yes, but this time it's raising money for charities, and I think that's really, putting this opportunity here to talk about what gaming for Guru means and what it is, because I never got the opportunity to podcast with Bobby Pauls I listened to Cup of Joe and Nintendo. That's about when I discovered you and you guys had lived previous lives, long happy lives prior to when I first started listening to Bobby. But the ripple effects of losing Bobby were felt everywhere, and it feels weird to say like that hit me really hard.
Why? That shouldn't be weird.
Well, because
I think it's totally understandable.
I didn't have a relationship with Bobby, you know? I didn't have, and I didn't really have a relationship with any of the podcasters, like to the extent that I do now.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like insincere. And that's something, like I was saying, I don't ever want to appear like I'm just riding a wave with everybody else, trying to get in on I don't know, like views or what the topical conversation is. But it hit hard because I didn't have anybody in my own life that we had lost because of COVID, and to hear all the stories and to just really the finality of the experience that happened a year ago. Like I don't know, like that was really shaking for me.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you guys put on this event and bring this back, because it's a good conversation to have. I don't know. I asked you a question and then proceeded to talk a whole bunch. But what's on your mind?
I'm glad you did that, man. No, and I'm glad that you, and even I feel like what you just kind of mentioned there ties back into the conversation that you mentioned earlier about like reflecting on being a good parent, and you talking to your mom about that, and she's saying like, well, I never even thought about that sort of thing. You know, so I feel like the fact that you're even like aware that whatever expression of grief that you might put out there could be perceived in a certain way, I feel like just speaks to everything. It's like says more than anything. That like the fact that you're aware that it could be misperceived, like just says that like, well, it's obviously coming from a place of authenticity and being genuine about it, you know, just being aware. So. And it resonates big time with me because I felt the same thing. Like when Bobby, like I didn't want, because I wanted to talk about it. It's like, how could I not? And I think a lot of people wanted to, but I didn't want to be like, here's my chance for view. Like I never wanted to, you know, and it never wanted to come across that way. And I also felt like, especially last year, like I just wanted to go through like a certain set of like almost demonstrating that I'm working towards getting back to normal. Because as you mentioned, my typical energy is coming onto a show and screaming at people like and going like, hey, it's me, Sean Capri, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, didn't you just like lose this person? Like I was so wrapped up in my own mind about that happening, Bobby passing, and then like jumping back onto a show and just doing another show. I'm like, that was not allowed for me. Like in my own head, I just like, no, that's not the path that I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do it in a certain other way. But that led me to a whole other kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Think about that. Cause
and that's the thing nobody else would think about. And that's what people have often told me is like, that's not even like, what are you talking about? Well, in my mind, that's the way that it went.
I would assume for you, because podcasting is such a big part of you and what you do, that would be killer, because for me, if something like that were to happen to me, I would need Nintendo Pals at that point. It wouldn't be just I'm doing this for fun. It would be a throw myself at it, because I do this in like if I'm having stressful anything with work, with stuff going on at home, like it's easy to throw myself into working on Nintendo Pals, and it's an outlet. It's an outlet just as much as anything else. And so like you not only had a huge loss, but you also killed your own outlet because of that.
Thinking. I paused it. I wanted to just like, especially this show was
even just for a moment, like you like paused it. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah, and I was grateful for other people, and that was when I just became like super aware of like how different people grieve. And then the other thing that I want to comment on too is that because I podcast with Bobby every single week, like I realize like I'm not even the only person who he podcasts with every week. And then I'm not even the only other person who like cared about him. Like I'm not like, so it's not mine to own. Like, and it wasn't even like a revelation that I had. It was just like, it was obvious. But I felt like as I was going through wanting to speak about it, one of the first things I remember talking was like, everybody felt like they were Bobby's number one. That was what was awesome about him. It's like, if you knew him, you felt like you were best friends with him, you know, like that was, so yeah, like I've known him for a long time and I podcasted him with forever, but like Toby knew him before I did. There's lots of people who Alan and Holly, like a lot of people had known Bobby before me. So it's not like there's not any tenureship or seniority about it. It's just, I don't know. So yeah, a year later this happens, and sadly, I've had a couple of people in my life pass away, and far, far too soon, from a variety of COVID and suicide and cancer, like
So sorry to hear that.
30s, people in their 30s, man. And it's not a pity party. It's not a pity party. It's a like, wake up. This life is so short. Like, go get yours, man. Like, go do what you want to do. This is me going to Tennessee. It's not about like, look at me, I'm going here. It's like, because this is once, man. Like I'm trying to do like a mature version of YOLO. Like, this happens once. And I was actually just, because this show now will end with a clip of, I think for now, like me and Bobby, but maybe even it'll evolve to just like Bobby in general, because that's another way I just want to continue to remember him. But I was just going onto his YouTube channel to just go snag a clip, and it's like, you go watch the last episode we did of Cup of Joe and Nintendo, and like we had no idea what was literally like around the corner. The last episode of Cup of Joe, I think, aired on October 20th, 2020, and he was in the hospital by at least the 28th, maybe even the 27th, somewhere around there. It was days after we did our last episode, and that was it. Like, he was in the hospital and very, very sick for a very long time. I had a FaceTime call with him shortly before he passed, but it's like, again, not a pity party. This is the wake-up call that I am making a pretty specific choice on, like, just how to deal with this or how to respond to it, and that is, like, you just have to live every single day, man. Like, no holds barred, with intention and putting your best foot forward and treating people nicely and kindly. Like, all those things come to light, because tomorrow's not a guarantee. Like, I even feel like I might even just jinx it by saying it. So when you ask what's on my mind with Gaming for Guru, I want that to be the message. I feel like we're raising money for a charity, which is great. It's close to Bobby's cause, or is a cause close to his heart. I often wish, peace out, Preston. So that is definitely a thing. But just like you, I think about this as something that's super important. I go like, okay, well, what's next year? We're not even done. This is like the classic Nintendo Direct kind of thing. Like, okay, cool, Direct. What's next? Like, we'll be 2 days into, we just got like Arceus, and it's like, what's next? Well, good. There's more Pokemon.
Yeah,
I think already to
thanks
next
Pokemon,
year.
we're
And I just think of like how to celebrate Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that's the biggest thing. And what does it mean? And is it a community thing, or is it just a me thing? Like, what do I have to do? Like, I think now that we're right in the middle of it, I'm stoked that everybody is doing it. But I also feel like I might even just do something a little bit more private in terms of my celebration of Bobby and remembering him. And it might even be something as like, whether I'm writing something down or doing something that I'm not necessarily creating content, if you can imagine that that's actually possible. But it might even just be like the way that I live my life, and the French, and the way that I go about making friends too. Because I was definitely, when Bobby passed, and Ryan Turfer can attest to this, like, I was definitely thinking about, well, maybe that's it. And I still really, I really struggle with, like, there's not going to be anybody like him. It's just impossible. Like, and that's like anybody. Like, everybody's very unique. Everybody's very special. There will never be another Bobby Pauls. And just in general, just on the internet. And for me personally, like I'll never have another like person like that. I was so lucky to have them, you know? So I've struggled with that a lot and what that would mean for content.
I got to ask from a behind the scenes perspective, because I am a huge fan of Sean Capri and podcasting on and the content that you make. Did that play into you stopping talking about Nintendo for a while? Because I missed that hardcore as a fan, because I listen. You know me, I only listen to Nintendo podcasts, and when Cup of Joe and Nintendo stopped, I was like, dang, that's it. I'm like, I can listen to We the GamerCast, still do, and I could go listen to the Xbox Drive, and I do on occasion. I don't mean to be exclusive to Nintendo. It's not that I don't like.
I get it
else.
though,
but
I mean, yeah.
Like, you have no idea how excited I was when Nintendo Drive was announced. I was like, yes, a Sean Capri podcast. I mean, I was subbed so fast. I was like, I am here. And then, so like, did that play into that? Was there like
that it was like there's not another Bobby kind of thing?
Yeah, it was having Bobby not be around, because Bobby was huge Nintendo. Like, that's all I ever hear. Bobby's name is tied to Nintendo properties, and like,
go back even further, and Justin Masson can take credit for this. Before Nintendo Guru, he was the Geek Guru, and it was Bobby was on as the Geek Guru on the Nintendo Dads, and they continued to chat. And Masson's like, just rebrand. You're a Nintendo guy. Like, what are you doing? And Bobby's like, yeah, okay. And that's where that whole thing kind of like shifted over. I remember talking to Bob. Like, that's the thing. Like we talked about all that stuff, man. He called me, like, he got divorced and he called me, like, and I remember thinking, like, I was changing Lincoln, who was months old at the time, changing a diaper, and I get a call from Bobby, which wasn't like at a podcast time or anything. I'm just like, I think I need to take this. Like, we just had that kind of like connection where I'm like, I think this is an important call. And yeah, it was hugely important. And like, we were there for each other for that sort of thing. But to your question, it was, you know, that Bobby was a Nintendo guy, but I still wanted to do it, but I didn't feel like I had a show to do it. But also, maybe even just as impactful for me was like my year before the Nintendo Drive started, like my relationship with Nintendo wasn't very good, like at all. And I don't mean like the PR company. I mean like Nintendo. Like, I didn't like what Nintendo was doing. And I was really crusty about Animal Crossing for a long time. I thought it was shitty, and I still do. It's just I've learned to really let go of how critical I am, and for better or for worse, and what that means for me as a commenter on it.
Beat you up. Can't be.
Well, in terms of like, there's people out there who can look at what Nintendo does like through a pretty objective lens and go like, it's kind of crappy, you know. But as a fan, I'm having fun playing Nintendo, and for a while there, as a fan, I was not having fun playing Nintendo because I was angry often, and in some cases, even like bored. Like, the year of Animal Crossing was like, okay, this is it. Like, I get it. And to your point about like people being intense about stuff, it's like the Animal Crossing community. You guys, I get it. Like, it's cool, very cool game. But you get one save. You can't even have like multiple saves. And I would go on and on about that. So my year prior to Nintendo Drive was like filled with that mostly. And what the Nintendo Drive has allowed me to do, and especially because Kato has that energy, is just like, just go with it, man. Just have fun. And that is, I have rejuvenated my quote unquote relationship with Nintendo, where I go, I guess I'm just going to buy Metroid. Sure. I guess I just bought like Project Triangle Strategy. I cannot not call it Project Triangle Strategy. I guess I just bought Dot Milk. Yeah, I got it. I really did. Yeah, man. Or the OLED I wasn't going to get.
I gotta ask, because I being someone that listens to a lot of Nintendo podcasts, I have actually seen the exact same thoughts and almost same time period from a lot of creators in the Nintendo space. But I don't understand, because I have never fallen out of Nintendo, if that makes sense. But a lot of people have, and especially like, I mean, you just recently were on Nintendo Powercast. Like, N64 Josh for a long while was like, why are we doing a Nintendo show? You guys are just talking Xbox. Yeah. Like Justin Masson for sure. I think he's still in that lull. It's kind of exploring.
Yeah, Donnie walked away from Shaq.
Yeah. Oh, Donnie. Yeah, gosh. And so I just wonder, what happened? Like, what do you think is going on in that regard? Because for me, like you can say, because there's stuff that Nintendo does that I agree, maybe not the most consumer friendly, but I have always, as a fan, I'm still having a good time. But like, what is causing that for so many? Are you growing out of it and coming back because your kids are more into it? I'm really curious into the psychology behind
of the leaving or the coming back.
The leaving,
like for me personally, or for other
of the leaving, because a lot of these guys haven't come back. I mean, Donnie's not back on the Nintendo train, other than for specific releases. Like you know what I'm saying. I
feel like I think had like having been there, it's like it just kind of depends on my observation. Is I think that it kind of just depends on how heavily are we leaning into our objective takes on it, and how, like, for me personally, I'll speak to just me. For a while there, I was like, I don't want to like say something that somebody could turn around backwards or rip apart, or have a really good counter to, in terms of me, I don't know, like being critical about one thing but then enjoying something, or vice versa. And after a while, I'm just like, I reserve the right to change my mind about some of these things. That I can make a statement about something and say that this is, because where I was at is, I'll say that maybe this is a better way to say it. I was very principled in my commentary about Nintendo. And when you're very principled about something, they last. Those opinions are almost permanent, because they're based in something that's like, I think this is the way something should be, and Nintendo is doing it in a different way. Therefore, I am going to be in friction with Nintendo forever until they fix this. And we know that Nintendo doesn't really fix any of these things that really like rub us the wrong way. So if you live in like company. That, you're never coming back.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Because they are a rock. And it's not just a rock in the fact that like they're a big company. They are old. They are old and very Japanese. Like they're very grounded in their way. And they do make changes and do adapt and grow, but they're not responding to Twitter. I mean, thank goodness. If they did, Splatoon would be like, I mean, Call of Duty.
That's another thing. That's actually where that's kind of where I respect Nintendo a lot, is whenever that mob grabs their pitchforks and torches and they demand something, and some people will bend to it. Like I kind of might be getting old on this side of things, but I can't stand that. I can't stand if like somebody can like so easily, just because they're loud on the internet, they bend you like that. Oh, that bothers me quite a lot. And that you can take that to a million different examples. But yeah, like even changing the ending of your game because people didn't like it or whatever it is like, what are you standing for? Like, what are your beliefs? Like, and how do you approach those sorts of things? Like, there's still an element of like principle in me, I think. And that's, that could get you in tricky situations too, because not everybody agrees with everybody's principles, and it's very inflexible. It's a very inflexible way to live. Like you got to kind of fall into a very specific set of rules to get along with somebody like that. So I've tried to let that go quite a lot.
I've thought about this specific topic because the question's been asked on our show and on lots of shows I listen to, like, why have you, not just as a content creator, but just people in general, fallen out of Nintendo and potentially come back, or fallen away and never come back? And we even talked about this earlier with my parents getting out of gaming and not coming back. I think that it is okay to stick with it. You don't have to feel like, oh, I'm the weird one, because I mean, I am the weird one because I have always been a Nintendo fanboy and will always continue to be the Nintendo fanboy and continue to like it. I can't see anything like that ever happening for me to throw that wrench to throw me off of it. But it's also okay to leave if you're not having fun. Yeah. Why? We talked about this. What are you doing? If you're not having a good time, don't do it. Yeah. There's like a point of like, stick with it and make it work, but this isn't a marriage. This is a hobby. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, you're one to talk. You only have a Nintendo. Speaking of, you're like monogamous with Nintendo. And I think that honestly might be that might be part of it, though, to your question.
Maybe.
Like, why would people leave? Is because they literally, they slept with the neighbor. They went, the grass is greener
I don't
on
like
the
it.
other side.
I don't like the
Hey, you brought up the marriage comparison.
But
yeah,
yes.
like when you start to compare like apples to apples, it's like Nintendo doesn't always stack up all that well, and that's a pretty simple and basic and obvious thing that you could put across. You just look at if you care about graphics, it's gonna be a pretty quick conversation.
This isn't the place. Yeah.
Or online stuff, or all these other things, or like subscription services. Like, there's a lot. It's very easy. Like, why do people leave Nintendo? It's very easy. It's not even just that they're old or anything like that. It's not even comparing 2022 standards to 2022. It's like comparing to 1997. Like, how is Nintendo stacking up to what we were doing in 2020 or 2003? It's just, that's kind of where they're at.
Yeah,
so
on certain things, right? Like
on certain things, for sure.
We talk internet infrastructure, voice chat. That's the big joke always been, and graphics.
Yep.
And yet, I just have so much fun with these games. Like, totally. they always are going to dominate in the gameplay sphere.
Totally. And I so much enjoy being on this side rather than going every single week going, oh my gosh, this friends list is terrible, and oh my gosh, this is bad over here. Like that, it's just not a pleasant place to be. And I love Mario, and there's still stuff for me to discover. I want to play Pokemon. I like jumping into that for the first time. Like, this is super fun. So yeah, it kind of just depends on like what you want to get out of it. But like everybody's limited on time, where I'll have to make choices.
Game the game the way you want to game. Like that's my.
What if I don't know what I want to play? What if I don't, like, that's me, man. That's my problem. I never know how I want to play. How am I supposed to know that?
I mean, I've been battling this because as a content creator, this is by far the system I have the most games for, the Switch.
Yeah.
I've owned all the Nintendo consoles.
Oh, like of all time?
Not even
just like, I guess that would, yeah.
Because I mean, you look at the eShop and like all the availability there, right? There's so many games there. And then I also
give me the eShop here, man.
First, I also like want to get every first party game.
Yeah.
Which is the first time that's ever happened, because when you're not in the sphere, when you're just a regular gamer, you're not getting every Nintendo first party release. Like, I didn't play Majora's Mask. I'm playing that for the first time right now. And
that's so awesome.
Oh, it's so good. I like it. I like it a lot. But, I missed out on a lot of great games. Micah will give me grief for days because we completely skipped the GameCube. We completely skipped it. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, this system, I have so many games, and I find myself going like, I need to do the post-game content in Pokemon Legends Arceus. But I just sort of feel like playing Spelunky 2 again. So then I go back to and when I sit down to game, I just want to just play what I feel like playing. Yeah. And I have a huge library of games to pick from on the Switch, and I just play what I feel like. Maybe that is Spelunky. Maybe that's Clubhouse 51 Games. I'm still playing Clubhouse 51 Games.
You're playing Clubhouse, nice.
I don't think anybody's playing that besides me. Oh yeah, man.
For a weekend.
Oh, it's.
See, and again, that was right in that time where I'm like, Nintendo, why? You fire that thing up and it's like, play all these games with all your friends, and it's like, unless you have 3 friends, then you got 6 games to choose from. It's like, this is my anger place.
It makes me so mad. And then bowling in it was just a disgrace. It's awful. Like, thank you Nintendo for bringing us Wii Sports Revival. Sean, I won't get started. Nintendo Switch Sports. I'm so excited. That's my game of the year. Game of the year for me. I love the Wii brand games. Wii Party, Wii Play, Wii Sports, Wii Fit. Wii Music is. Yeah, I actually really like Wii Music. I had to throw it in there. I like Wii Music. It's not the greatest, but I
actually think that's one I bought and actually never played. Like, I definitely have a collection of those. That's a category kind of.
I have a list of games that I know from a objective standpoint are terrible games that I rolled credits on. Yes. Not just that I like, that I played to completion. Yeah. And it's like, It's like going to the fridge and you just pull out ramen and you just keep eating it, and you're just like, I know it's not good, but
yeah, but you can fancy up ramen.
No, just like that. No, I'm talking like the instant,
Yes.
like throw it in a pot of water.
Don't even put it in the water.
Just eat it hard.
Crunch it.
It's like when you just eat filler and you're like, this isn't good, but I'm still eating. Yeah, like I have
Dude, I want ramen so bad right now. I could just go for some, oh my god, cup of noodles or something.
That is my We Music is one of those games where it's like, I know it's bad, but I still played it 100% and played like because you put a me in it and I'll buy it. We just got Metopia. I'm gonna stream that. I'm pretty excited for that.
Oh, that is fun. Oh,
my son,
I put Bobby
my son
in that game too.
loves. He got the demo, and so we got it for him for his birthday. For him,
that's such
and also
a good
I can
idea. I'm gonna have to get that for Lincoln. I want to like. This is like I'm such a dork. Like I want to just like go wake him up and show him, Lincoln. Like I got you this game. Like I would love to do that.
I am
man.
so
That's
excited.
So good.
Like my son. Okay, I didn't get Splatoon 2. Did you play much Splatoon, Sean?
Oh yeah, man. Love
oh,
Splatoon.
you did? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
stoked for Splatoon 3.
I played a little bit of Splatoon 1, and just didn't really get into it. My son, every time we go to the store, it's like, can we get Splatoon 2? And I'm like, I'm saying no.
Oh, you're not a fan? Oh, okay.
No. Okay. Not that I'm not a fan. But,
no, you don't have
because
it. So there's
Splatoon
that. On the system you have all the games for.
Splatoon 3 is
2.
coming.
Okay.
Splatoon 3 is coming. I'm not going to buy Splatoon 2 now.
It's smart.
We just have to wait a few more months. and I keep telling him that. And he is so excited for Splatoon 3. He's never played Splatoon before. I don't talk about it. I'm not, obviously I don't have the game. I'm not a huge fan of Splatoon. Not that I don't like it. But I'm going to get in on it. This is the kid effect. I have raised another me, and now I'm going to be playing games I never would have played.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's Pokemon for me, man. Absolutely. I wanted to. I tried it before. That's I think that's the number one reason to have kids. Is so you can just kind of like relive that a little bit. I thought that was obvious.
Plus now I got Metopia as a gift for him for his birthday, and now I get to play it.
Metopia. I forgot about that, dude. Like this is my. I don't know. Is this OC? I don't know what this is exactly, but it's sort of like a completionist kind of thing. Like when you mention that, I'm like, I feel like whatever list that I'm thinking of, which is not even a thing, is incomplete. Like when I think about games on
Sean
Switch,
library.
Yeah, it's like some sort of like there's a spreadsheet. There's got to be a spreadsheet, like games that I have and games that I want, and that is. There is a spreadsheet that has that. I haven't kept up to date in years, but that is a thing. Games that I own and games that I want, and I would start to move things over.
Dude, I had to get because I like to carry these around. I had to get a new case for games.
Oh, look at you, nice and organized. Yes. Oh,
because I ran out of space, so I had to get another one that has we filled it. I have like over 25 carts of games.
Yeah, that's so easy for stuff to lose. Oh man, I'm super anal about like.
Yeah, so I don't want to carry around. I like to carry around all the games with me if I go somewhere. So I got That's
a good idea. Yeah.
Sorry for those listening on audio. I'm holding up my game cartridge case.
Like an actual wallet.
It's like the size of a 3DS, man. And
dude, that's actually impressive. I wish it would make like sort of like a pressurized sound when you open and closed it. Like
it's magnetic,
sealing all. Oh, that is satisfying.
So it has the feel of that. Like
it needs. It looks like this type of thing that needs some sort of tactile like thing that would launch dopamine through your system. Like man. Yeah.
And then it's I geek out on that stuff. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like that's maybe where my wife starts to go. Maybe this Nintendo Palace thing is getting to be a bit much.
That's like proof right there. And
how many games do we have? And then you start to count up how much these cost, and you
don't do that.
Nope, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
Amiibo is the exact same game, dude. Like you just look at some of these shelves with the toys, and you're like, okay.
I'm so glad I did not ever get on the Amiibo train because
there was no games on Wii U. We were buying Amiibo instead.
I wouldn't have been able to stop. I don't think, man. I'd be hoarding those things around everywhere. Nope.
What's your? I'll give you a moment to maybe. I feel like I asked you the last question an hour and a half ago. Should have known that. What's on your mind is maybe a.
Sean, I apologize.
Question.
Okay, so I gotta tell you this story real quick because
my gaming
is
for Guru
hilarious.
starts in 12 hours from now. Actually, no, not even 10 hours. 10 hours. I'm on opposite time zones.
My wife asked, "So how long will this
My
podcast
wife.
be?" My wife. How long will this podcast be tonight? And I was like, I don't know how long the We the GamerCast.
I usually do an hour. We are absolutely double normal time.
I looked at it and I was like, looks like most of them, like all the latest episodes are about an hour and 20 minutes. And she's like, okay, so 2 hours because it's you.
Yeah.
That's my wife.
So when you see, if you're just looking at the show length, that's the conversation plus me at the beginning and the end.
Oh no, I've pulled you over a 2 hour mark. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah,
everybody
this is gonna be.
This is me. I
you know
do
what?
this
No,
to every show. I'm a talker.
I wanted to talk about Bobby. I appreciate you bringing him up. That was on my mind for sure. What the heck was it? Oh, you just gave me yours probably. Okay, so I'll tell you like one of my oddly not super special, like specific, but like one of my, I don't know, my most prized. One of the things that I really like that I have of a Nintendo memorabilia thing is a
okay.
Donkey Kong like barrel that holds 3DS games. And do you have that too?
I can't run up fast enough to the room to get, but I have a Donkey Kong barrel. We made it. It's a
snap, one upper. Holy crap.
Oh, no, it doesn't hold games. But I thought this is where you were going, and I got really excited. But you're saying it's a thing that holds games.
And it's so small. It holds like 5 games. It's like nothing really to write.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Those I saw a whole bunch of those while looking for this case. I was like, who gets a question block cube that holds 2 games in it? Like, what's the point of this? It doesn't make any sense.
It's the thing that sits on your shelf or desk or something, but also holds a couple games.
Yeah,
you know? Like that. Yeah. It's more that it's the thing. Yeah.
Where I was going, we found a miniature barrel, like a replica of a barrel at a thrift store. And I was like, can we buy this? My wife's like, why? And I'm like, I want to turn it into the Donkey Kong barrel. It looks exactly like it. So then I made out of foam the DK, stick it on the side there. And now I have a like authentic looking DK barrel. It's so cool.
I love it, man.
That's one of my favorite like decorative pieces that I have. Yeah.
Well, it's homemade. Very special.
Yeah.
Okay, about an hour ago, you told people where they can find you. I almost want to have man, there's so many. I didn't even write any notes down for today. But one of the things I want to have you back on, so when I listen to this maybe later, and I do have you back on, I go, okay, this is my note to self. We talked about kind of like categories of games. I want to explore that a little bit next time with you. I don't know exactly what that means, but I just want to like list
categories of games.
Yeah, I just want to go like the best games of like this type, or the best games that were over here. Like I've wanted to do that with even Sweet Hangs.
I would love to do something like that. I like those sorts of like.
Me too.
Like let's tier list it. Those are so
basically
fun.
What it is. Yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to tier list it. Just like give us your top 3 for this or top for this category. That stuff. Nintendo Pals, we do that sort of stuff all the time on our show. That's when when we do a top 5 or top 10 or a tier list. Little inside baseball here. That's when I don't have notes.
Oh yeah,
that's the last minute like
no
let's
news
do
and
this.
We'll just do,
No. It's the I didn't have time to really come up with an actual show topic, so let's pull one of these in from.
Well, you know what else we could do on man? I used to do I used to do a movie podcast years and years ago with my friend.
No way! I didn't know that.
I don't know if you can find it anymore. It was called Nerdflix and Chill. It was for WeTheNerdy.com. And every week I would watch a new movie in the theater, and I would also watch a movie like on Netflix or in the DVD collection. Me and my friend, we would watch these movies, and then we would it was a movie podcast. Did we like the movie? Do we not like the movie? Blah, blah, blah. And so whatever movie was coming out, it was pretty like, there's usually like one standout, especially when movies were happening. It was like, that's the movie to watch. We're going to go watch that movie, like Doctor Strange or Star Trek or whatever it was at that time. But on the DVD side, it was the audience kind of like weighed in, and every movie would have to connect to the next week's movie in some weird way. Like it was directed by the same person or it was starring the same person. You know, like this person was an extra in it. Like we tied it together. It was like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of deal.
Okay.
So the reason I bring this up is because maybe the next time you come on, we just do that for a little while and just see how long like we could string it along, games that we like that have some sort of like connection to the next game. You know, you just find out.
I'd be so down to do something like that.
Yeah, you just have like a bunch of, what's his name? I don't know how to say his name. Koji Kondo, the
Koji Kondo?
composer. I don't know.
I don't know if I'm saying that right. Koji Kondo.
You just have all the games that he touched. That'd be super fun.
Oh, that
Just kind of just off the wall things. Like everybody does like a best RPG games or best games on this system, whatever. It's like let's go a little nerdier.
best Koji Kondo soundtrack, best, and then I don't know how you.
We'll workshop it later. We're 2
yeah.
hours in. Where do you want people to go if they're here still? Thank you. Where should people go to find all the things that we talked about that you're obsessively creating?
I am so happy that at this point I can say, hey, just go search Nintendo Pals and you'll find us. That's where, I talked earlier about SEO. It's been doing stuff. So you can just search Nintendo Pals. But if you want to find us specifically, we are at Nintendo Pals on Twitter. I guess I should plug the podcast first before Twitter.
Yeah, that's what
Nintendo Pals Podcast. Check out Nintendo Pals Podcast. We also do YouTube, Nintendo Pals, streams, Nintendo_Pals. Someone stole the name on Twitch. Rude. But yeah, so we're on YouTube, Twitch, and the podcast. And then we're on all the social media platforms that you can imagine. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
Oh, good for you.
I don't post there enough, but I'm on there and I try to be active.
Good for you. Yeah.
Get those 14.
I have no idea. Andross, super fun to catch up with you, man. We went places.
Thanks for having me on again, Sean.
Tonight, man. No, this is the best. You'll be back. You'll be back. Oh, thank goodness you're still here. You made it all the way. You guys let me know what you think about this. This episode was recorded on a Saturday night, where normally I would record on, well, sometimes, with the Hoppy Doxy, I recorded on a Sunday morning, but typically I record on a Monday night, which kind of like caps things off, kind of limits things just naturally. Like everybody needs to go to bed at a certain point. I'm actually very lucky that people record so late with me. And maybe that's just the thing in the podcast community. Everybody just understands all this stuff comes after family time and whatnot or whatever. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really thought about that too much, really, other than to be grateful that people carve out a 10 p.m. Eastern time is usually when I record these things. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you to Andross. But let me know what you think about the odd long episode. We can really go in for the long haul on that one. I feel like especially for people I've had on in the past, where I kind of know a little bit more about them, that's definitely easier to do. There's no doubt about it. But I'm grateful for Andross, and we kind of just we went everywhere. It's funny because he says he likes to talk. What does that say about me? I'm here by myself. I do it on my own. I do it as an exclusive Patreon perk, a bonus episode, a bonus podcast for supporting Yumi Capri at the $3 tier and up. You get the Pants Patreon podcast for patrons podcast. It's just me and your questions, and I answer them. Usually 40 minutes a week of me just talking. That used to be something I would remark about. Look at that, a 40-minute episode. Now it's just pretty standard. Pretty crazy, actually. Thank you so much to Andross. I want to reiterate that you guys, I want you to send in your favorite clips, or even just a clip, just a memorable, just a notable thing of Bobby. Doesn't even have to be with me. It can be anything that Bobby did. Send them in. Twitter, YouTube comments, in the Discord, whatever you want, and I will feature it at the end of every episode of We the GamerCast. That's what we're going to do here. I'm not going to lie, it's a little daunting. It's way easier just to throw on the boilerplate at the end. This is a little bit more challenging, but I think it's all good things are. You know what I mean? Send in your clips. I can't wait to feature them. This one is of, thank you again to Josh Stapleton for sending this in. I've got a couple more from you, Josh, and I appreciate that. You guys don't have to limit it to one, by the way. Josh sent in a few, so we're going to feature those. This is we're giving shout outs. Every episode of the If We're Nintendo, we would give shout outs. We would call out members of the community, and I love that. That's a huge piece. So here's Skinny Matt. Before Skinny Matt, we talk about Mr. Badbit before he's Mr. Badbit, and a prediction on how I do predictions. So here we go.
Let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our shout outs.
Geek out. Come on, geek out.
No geek outs.
Okay.
No geek outs. I want to give a shout out to Matthew Knight. He's in our Nintendo Guru Facebook group. Earlier when I was doing the Geekcast with Toby and I went through, I saw a post that he put and it made me laugh. And he was upset with us because he said, "How dare you make me choose between the GeekCast and If We Ran Nintendo on which episode to listen to the spoiler cast?" And I thought that was cool. So Matthew, first off, thank you for listening to us. That means the world to me that you're listening to both episodes or both shows. That is pretty awesome. And he actually chose If We Ran Nintendo as his. He flipped a coin, and that's how he decided which one to play with.
That's really funny.
That is funny. So, but thank you for that. That means the world, man. So, you got any shout outs, Sean?
I got a shout out to you. We recorded you and Zach Erickson from Nintendo Dads, and Joseph Moran from Poly Games and My Xbox and Me. We recorded some Nintendo predictions. So stay tuned for that. But I wanted to thank you guys for your time. I did a PlayStation one as well. And I'm super pumped about both of them. I can't wait for people to hear them. It's just 90 minutes of, I think you probably might win. We'll just say that way. I have some predictions that you don't approve
There's
of.
no way you're winning. There is no way in hell you're winning. If you win, I'm going to be upset.
I want to say, okay, we'll put it this way. I don't want to give too much away because we got to get on with our show. But we should have had, like, given each other odds. Like, for the ones that are like given, like, okay, I don't even know. Actually, Nintendo, there really are no given. There's no 1-to-1. But like for one of mine, it should have been like 10-to-1. If that happens, you get 10 points for everybody else's one. So
there's something like you said, like you had.